Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
This 2020 Sports brought to you by Jackson Comfort Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Trusted for over 100 years. Call Jackson Comfort now for same-day service or book online at jacksoncomfort.com. Reports say the Guardians going to be calling up second baseman Travis Bazzana from AAA Columbus today. The former top pick of the 2024 MLB draft expected to make his big league debut tonight as the Guardians continued their series against Tampa Bay this season with the Clippers. Bazzana hitting .287, 2 homers. He's driven in 10. Juan Brito expected to be sent down to make room on the roster for Bazzana. Last night, Hunter Gaddis giving up 2 runs in the top of the 8th, and the Rays rally past the Guardians 3-2. Spoiled a pretty good night from Parker Messick. 5 2/3 innings, allowed just 1 run, 3 hits, would strike out 9. Skipper Stephen Bowden, the job the young lefty did for the Guards last night.
That part was outstanding. That lineup makes you work. They're pesky and good at bats, but I thought he pitched his tail off. I mean, gave us a great chance to win, and just unfortunate ending.
Guardians lost their 3rd in a row. The only runs for the Guardians coming on a 2-run homer by Daniel Schneemann in the bottom of the 5th. Cavaliers back on the practice floor later on this morning as the Cavs get ready for their continuation of their opening round playoff series against Toronto. Tomorrow night at Rocket Arena, it's going to be Game 5. The series tied at 2 games apiece. The Cavs won the first 2 games here in Cleveland. The Raptors took the following 2 games up in Toronto. NBA playoffs last night in the first round. Eastern Conference, Orlando beating Detroit 94-88. Desmond Bane had 22 points. The Magic now leads the top-seeded Pistons 3-1. The Magic a chance tomorrow night to be just the 7th, number 8 seed at top, a number 1 in the playoffs. In the Western Conference, the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder, beating Phoenix 131-122. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 31 points. The Thunder finished the 4-game sweep of the Suns. Over the last 3 seasons, OKC 12-0 in first-round games. Denver staying alive, beating Minnesota last night, 111-98. Nikola Jokic, triple-double, 27 points, 16 assists, 12 rebounds. Nuggets avoid elimination. Jamal Murray with 24 points, but Denver still trails the Timberwolves 3-2. Don't miss this week's episode of 92.3 The Fan's offseason special. Get the latest on the Browns tonight from 7 to 9. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
The Cavs' path to either disproving the things that have been said about them by yours truly since, February 17th, whenever that trade was done, we're still on that path. And listen,
yes, we are.
If the Cavs want to shut everybody up, the last 5.5 minutes of that game are exactly where you need to improve or change. Mm-hmm. Because once again, and I have how the hell did it take Toronto 2 damn games to figure out, hey, maybe we should really kind of start bullying them and see how they respond.
Really, what you're getting at is the idea that Mobley and Jared Allen just complete no-shows in the past couple games.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
In the air, left center. Going back at Chandler Simpson. He's out of room. It's out of here. Daniel Schneemann with a 2-run home run. Oppo, baby. Right back up the middle and through. And here comes Palacios with a go-ahead run. Kwan's throw is cut off. And it's 3-2 Tampa. And now Cleveland is down to their last strike. He strikes him out and ends the night for Cleveland.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. And before we get going with some very exciting news, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking for a winner. Be caller 6 216 474-0092. You can win a pair of tickets to see your Cleveland Cavaliers take on the Raptors in Game 5 action tomorrow. That's April 29th. Folks, that's Dale Earnhardt's birthday. That's Dale Earnhardt's birthday.
Hope they hit a lot of threes in his honor.
Be caller 6 216 474-0092. You can see him in Game 5 action at Rocket Arena. Tickets available at Cavs.com. It's all from your Cleveland Cavaliers and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Caller 6 216 474-0092. You can be going to see the Cavs coming up tomorrow night. Good luck.
Young John is declaring Donovan Mitchell's last home game as a Cavalier.
So if you
in
win
a Cavalier uniform,
if you win the
in Cleveland
tickets
with the Cavaliers,
if you win the tickets, you can then cuss out John as he takes your information because he's the one taking the calls. So you could cuss him out and say, "What are you trying to do to put the Maloik on this Cleveland Cavalier basketball team?" And I'll agree with you. Say whatever you want within the boundaries of. It doesn't have to be within good taste, but you know what? Just within some reason, you got to put a stop sign out there at some point. But go down the street, see where it takes you. Good morning, everybody. Audio courtesy at Guardians TV. We'll have more tickets giveaway coming up at 8 o'clock for the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 5. Travis Bazan is coming up, everybody. It's happening.
Earlier than
Number
expected,
1 pick coming up. Some people said they'd be surprised if he came up before June. He's here before May. Travis Bazan is coming up. He is going to be inserted into this lineup at some point. How are we reacting to this? This is obviously jubilation.
Do you think it's so early because they've been scuffling? Because
they have scuffled for the last couple of weeks,
and they've got some big question marks. Some of their early levers have not really worked.
Somebody, you want to talk about some of the bad takes that we've had. When I wanted to pay Stephen Kwan, holy potato salad! Was I drunk?
No, everybody wanted to pay him. What do you mean?
Oh, no, not everybody wanted to pay him. The guy in that room didn't want to pay.
No, I wanted to pay him. I didn't want to pay him what you guys want to pay him.
Yeah, but
I was the one
everybody,
to pay him.
But everybody
I would
wanted
like him to still be a Cleveland Guardian. I still kind of stand by that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happening now, boy. Whew.
Everybody wanted us to lock him up early because it looked like it was going to be a very promising career, and now he's been one of the worst hitting outfielders in baseball over the last calendar year.
Somebody found this stat. I want to make sure somebody's got to find out whether or not it's true. Social media reactions brought to you by
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
A man named Andrew who goes by Manzo's Mustache on social media.
Well, it's got to be true.
Well, I don't know if it is, so we got to find it out.
Is it the actual mustache?
But he put out there, and I go, man, this is strong here. It says Stephen Kwan has swung the bat slower every year since the stat has been tracked. He also has the lowest average exit velo of his career by more than 4 miles an hour. He writes,
seems like an easy fix. Just swing it faster.
Well, it's.
I never even thought of that. That's a good point.
Yeah, what are they telling him? Do we not have a hitting coach?
Folks, I regret to inform you that 28-year-old Stephen Kwan may be washed. I'm going, he's never had a serious injury. Like he's been banged up a little bit. And this is not a good start. This is not a good start to the season. It's been not a good month. But whoa, washed. I'm sorry. I was like, I don't know if I want to go that far. This is disappointing. And I wanted to sign him to an extension. It seems that conversation has gone out the window here over the last year. But when it comes to everything else, it's like, well, wait, now hold on here. Let's see, because of any team that has to be patient, it's the Guardians that have to be patient, right? With leadoff hitters especially.
Well, the question is, do you move them out of the leadoff spot right now? Is it that bad? Has it reached such a level?
Who do you put into the leadoff spot?
Well, there's two options.
There are two options.
One of them's the guy that you throw him wherever you can throw him, right, to get him in the lineup, and that's not Travis Bazana. It's Daniel Schneemann. The other one's
who looks like he needs to absolutely play every day.
Yeah. It's just, do you want to settle him into a role, or will that screw up what he's doing right now, where he plays in a different position every day and he finds out when he gets to the ballpark?
Well, that'll continue. That's not going to change. I saw people speculating.
Put on hell there.
I saw people speculating yesterday. Bazana immediately.
Yeah, I don't know if first game,
you want to talk about some
bat,
pressure.
At least it's a home game. You don't start on the road.
It's April 28th at home. You're right. If you really wanted to do it, of course, then again, I don't know. Okay, let's think about this. Let's think about this reasonably here. Now, Stephen Kwan has been a good player for you for a long time. He won another Gold Glove, for the love of God, here. He's a 4-time Gold Glove winner. He's one of the best outfielders in the game. He can play center field for you. I think it's still April. My goal by the end of April is to be 2 games over 500. We still have that chance, damn it. We got today and tomorrow to be over 500.
That was your goal?
Yeah, 2 games over 500 by the end of April. Owen knows that. I said that at the beginning
That's
every
just
year.
very specific.
Because with the weather, I just want to keep my head above water. Because the weather can be wild anywhere you go. Like, we've had a couple of games, last week there was one where they were wearing the face guards and everything. It was freezing outside. So with the weather being so wild, if I can just be over 500 by 2 games, it's like, all right, this is the Central. Nothing's really crazy. I know the Tigers are supposed to be good, but honestly, like, if we can keep it,
don't get more than 15 and a half back, you're fine.
Yeah, as long as you don't get 16 back.
Yeah,
that's the
some flexibility here.
I think it's. I don't know. For this organization, I don't think it's the right thing to just rip Stephen Kwan from the leadoff spot, because I don't want to use the term moody, but I go back to that social media post. He definitely is thinking of things.
If you have to start out by saying I don't want to use the term moody, you're definitely worried about him being too moody.
Because moody's not the right word, and I'm trying to find the right word. Don't post video that I said moody. I'm not saying he's moody, because I know what they'll do. I'm not saying, but he thinks of things, and sometimes I think he thinks of things a little too much. But at the same time, I think of things a little too much. I couldn't help but think of it.
You're talking about D3 Joey.
You have a guy, yes.
Takes a Moody to know a Moody.
You have a guy, exactly. Thank you very much. But you have a guy. Think about this. You have a guy who's been thinking of his contract over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, how long ago was that? He's been thinking of his contract. He's been thinking of his contract for a long time. I think there is, and I would probably feel the same way if I were a Major League ball player. I think there is a little resentment towards the team, because they don't necessarily just give money to everybody involved. I mean, there's Jose Ramirez and to a smaller extent a couple of other guys, and then that's it. And everything else is like, we're going to get you to arbitration, and you can fight us in arbitration, and that's it. And they usually don't fight in arbitration, but you can figure it out then. Like, that's how they come off on this. So I think that's kind of in his head, and I don't want him to go, really, you're kicking me out of the leadoff spot, and you're bringing up this rookie who's number 1 overall pick. And for a lot of fans, they go, hell yeah, but I'm just putting more pressure on a rookie here, and I'm 15-15. It's not like the world is coming to an end here. We're not the Red Sox, for crying out loud. We've hit a little bit of a lull here in the early part of the season. It's a marathon. You can't just sit there and make such crazy willy-nilly decisions. So I would probably, if I was putting Bazana in the lineup, I would put him somewhere deeper in the lineup. I don't think I would. Kwan's a vet. I don't know if I'd be messing with it right now, man. I'm hesitant. I'm really hesitant to do such a thing.
Well, Brief on X says, can someone just hand Kwan a lighter bat?
It seems like they had to have thought of that, right?
Well, no, but if you swing a heavier bat, does it
generate more?
The centrifugal force.
It does, but if you're
take you through the zone.
If you're casting, or maybe you're dropping your back shoulder, that's a problem.
Yeah, see, Kwan
just
needs to listen to these baseball gurus now and get it figured out. I did not expect him to get the call up though, Bazana, this quickly.
No.
I know there's always the debate about service time and Super 2 with arbitration, all the fun things we love about baseball and rookies and contracts and all that stuff, which just is ridiculous that baseball still has this antiquated system compared to the other sports where, hey, you draft a rookie, guess what? You'll see the Browns rookies in week 1. Hey, NBA, you draft a rookie high, you'll get to see them in game 1, and it's awesome. In baseball, you got to wait a little bit, but Bazana, in this case, you don't have to wait as long as we thought we'd have to see him, which is exciting. He was already with the team in Toronto, so the acclimation process and I imagine his family getting the call. They probably got the call a few days ago, right? And then they set out on their journey. How many miles?
Yeah, it was upside down.
Yeah, they got to figure that out. Toilets are different here. Everything's different.
Big deal.
But it honestly,
curveballs break away from you.
Is this the most? Yeah, you wonder, does it work like that down there? Is this the most excited you've been about a prospect coming up, about a rookie? From the moment they were drafted.
No, I was more excited for Chase DeLauder.
Oh.
I'm excited for Travis Bazana, but I was obviously more excited let's go back to the tape. I think I was a little bit more excited to Chase DeLauder. I find myself actually, because DeLauder's a guy who can hit for power. I know it seems the eons since the last home run, but I mean, he got on base with it was a double yesterday, and my TV was cutting out, so I was upset because he gets on base, and then Manzardo's just not a fast runner. That's all there is to it. So I didn't blame him for for holding up. Just needed to push one more across, and they weren't able to do it, and they lost last night 3-2. And Parker Messick was great again. And ends
Rookie
up getting,
of the Year, Cy Young?
It sucks, but it's the way it goes. But when it comes to DeLauder, I was like, all right, he can just stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, this could be a difference-making player for us. Bazana obviously can be a difference-making player for you. He's a number 1 overall pick. But there's been so much trash that's been talked from a national perspective about, like, why isn't he up? So now I find myself a little bit more pensive of,
okay.
Well, okay, let's just ease him in, get him used to things, and let's do this the right way, because there's been a lot of pressure put on him because other guys have been called up earlier. And not that they've necessarily just been met with 1,000% success from that draft class and how well they've done, but there have been people critical of the Guardians in taking Travis Bazana over a couple of, like the Condon and all the other things. They've been a little bit critical of the Guardians for taking Bazana over those guys. I really think it's in hindsight, but there have been those writers, Exisa and a couple other ones, who have been pretty critical. So I'm excited to see him, but it's not this unbridled enthusiasm the way it was with Chase DeLauder. I should say last year in the postseason, I'm like, man, this guy, if he can swing a big stick, and then this year when he starts up his first regular season with the Guardians, so there's some excitement there, but it's not overwhelming. But I think, you know what, I bet I'm in the minority. Not to poo-poo him coming up. I just think that I was more excited for Chase DeLauder coming up than I am with Travis Bazana. But it's still an exciting thing.
Well, they
very exciting.
They are desperate right now. Even though they're 500 team, and we talk about the schedule that they've gone up against and the lineups their pitching staff has gone up against so far this year. They are scuffling with some of these guys in the order big time, whether it's, Bo Naylor, Valera, since the call up, it hasn't been great. Hoskins kind of looks like this experiment might be coming to an end sooner rather than later.
Hoskins looks like it's Hoskins, yes.
Yeah, and obviously Manzardo, who's he's sitting there flailing
He's up
away
from 059 earlier in the month.
He is, that's true.
Just, you got to take the good with the bad. Come on.
He is surging.
You got that going for you. All right, 216-474-0092. Andrew in Dayton, home of the Dragons. You're next up on the Fan.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Doing well, Andrew. Go ahead.
This Bazana call-up is necessary. I think you hit the nail on the head talking about Kwan first. I mean, you got your leadoff hitter with a 500-something OPS. I think they're just transitioning from the guards ball of old to a more aggressive style with guys like DeLauder and Bazana. And
they may be.
I mean, you have to do it. You have to do it because you have guys like Kwan who's struggling right now, and then David Fry. The last good thing I can remember him doing is getting hit in the face with a baseball. So, I mean, when you got – and you don't even have the time.
That seems like a bad thing.
The best thing I remember you doing is getting kicked in the face.
God in heaven.
I don't think that's a good thing.
But up until the thing he said, I was going to say the shot at David Fry, but it seems to be a little bit too much there. The knock on David Fry, up until then, I kind of agreed with him. I know that Grant Fink has been a more aggressive type of guy over here over the last couple of years. Working with Austin Hedges, we talked about that. But, I mean, with other guys – I think that they are a little bit more aggressive. I was with them up until the David Fry part of the call about maybe they are transitioning a little bit in how they do their business, and I think that maybe the Major League Baseball player has changed in keeping up with everything and in trying to be on the cutting edge. I can certainly understand that. It will be interesting to see though, because I mean, again, they are not a team that's quick to knee-jerk reactions, knee-jerk moves,
no, not at all.
Making big moves and challenging guys mentally. It is not that way. So if they were to take Stephen Kwan out of that spot and put in a rookie, like we got a conversation to have tomorrow about that. We certainly do. 216-474-0092. All right, coming up at 8 o'clock, we do have Cavs tickets to give away for Game 5. Coming up at 6:40, this is exactly why I have never, ever since I became a grown man and a grown American taxpayer, I never have and I never will go for a foul ball. It has to be hit right to me. A foul ball or a home run, and I'm never keeping it. I don't care. I'm not holding on to it. Because what happened last night is the sum of all my Larry David-esque fears. We'll get to that coming up at 6:43. And I wanted Cornell Tate. So did a lot of people. Carnell Tate. Did you want Carnell Tate?
I did, yeah.
We wanted Carnell Tate. A lot of people wanted Carnell Tate. Seems that Tennessee did all of us a favor. Ken Carman and Anthony Lima take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app where you can, again, win Cavs tickets at 8 o'clock this morning.
It's Anthony Lima.
installs. AnyOffense.com.
You can now watch The Fan live on YouTube. Catch The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima from 6 till 10 a.m. Baskin and Phelps 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. Each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
Daniel Oyafusi going to join us 8:20 this morning, coming up in 20 minutes. Oh, man, there's one Guardians fan having a bad morning. Oh, boy. Some of all my fears. I just don't care about home run balls or foul balls that badly. I don't, and oh, God, I felt bad for the kid. I felt bad. I actually felt bad for him acting like a goofball over it. I was like, you are really gonna regret you did this, dude. You are really gonna regret what you've done. That coming up at 6:40 this morning. 216-474-0092. Did Tennessee do Browns fans a favor? I think the Tennessee Titans did us all a favor. I think the Tennessee Titans did Spencer Fano a favor. I can't be more thankful to the Tennessee Titans than I ever have been that they took Carnell Tate number 4 overall. You have an article there from a Jory Epstein.
Yes, she had unfettered access to the war room.
Complete access to what was going on in the Browns draft room. And read the excerpt that you had there.
So when Tennessee selects Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate 4th overall, a chorus of whoas breaks out. Do you want to practice?
Whoa! We did that.
Do you think they played the music?
No.
Is that
I hope somebody in that room. I hope somebody in that room thought of it.
There's like 30 dudes in that room.
Andrew hears it.
So when that breaks out, Browns executive vice president and partner J.W. Johnson recognizes, quote, that probably helps us, right? And Barry nods. And leading everybody, that's the only excerpt that really goes into detail about that, because I asked flat out yesterday, what would have happened if Tennessee does not take Carnell Tate and he's there right there when we had a chance to draft number 6? And it's only one sentence, but if JW is asking others in the room, including Andrew Berry, like that probably helps us, right? The general thought is that no, the Browns were not going to take Carnell Tate. And I know everybody said afterwards, oh, they clearly weren't going to take him, but now we actually have a discussion in the war room.
I think it's best for everything because I think about both sides. I think about helping the Browns, and then I think about how the fans would react, because I think there were a lot of fans just going, guys, don't overthink it. Take Carnell Tate, and then at number 6, and then find another lineman a little bit later on and do it like that. Now, when Carnell Tate was off the board, now, I did not feel this way. I know that some people did. I know that the guys in the afternoon felt this way about Jordan Tyson. They were passionate about Jordan Tyson. I was not nearly as passionate about Jordan Tyson as I was Carnell Tate. When that happened and then the Browns moved back to 9, I think you just have to change your thinking and go, okay, if they're thinking about an offensive lineman, how do we not take Caden Proctor this high, because I still thought it was that too high, and how do we not take Monroe Freeling this high, because I thought that was too high. When you take Spencer Fano, I thought that ended up being great. And what ends up working out for you is that you traded out of that spot, and I don't have to hear, and you don't have to hear, and we don't have to say it for the rest of our careers, that Carnell Tate was there at number 6, no matter what. No matter what.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to sit there and do the whole Phil Taylor, Julio Jones thing. He was taken. He was gone. Now, if Jordan Tyson ends up being the next Jerry Rice, maybe there's a conversation, except you trade it back to 9. Now, you could have taken Jordan Tyson at 6, but if I wasn't that passionate about it, I'm not going to make that argument now, am I? Other people may. You may hear that from the afternoon, or you may hear that from midday.
Oh, I think people will. And I think that's an inflection point in the draft.
If they felt that way. But you and I have to be on record about these things. So if I sit here and say Spencer Fano is just okay and Jordan Tyson ends up being one of the greatest wide receivers ever, I can't sit there and yell and scream and pout and moan when I didn't want to take Jordan Tyson.
You can't, but just in terms of, you know how all these things...
If they felt that way, fine. But
it's not even about that. It's just, you know how this is. It's a very reductive way that we look at these drafts, and we say, who is available when you took a bust, who was available?
I understand.
That's all it is. It's not which host said this or what. Nobody remembers that 5 years from now.
To me, I bring up the Phil Taylor situation because Phil Taylor wasn't a bust. Phil Taylor, his career was shortened by injury, but he was a good player. He just wasn't Julio Jones. And Phil Taylor would even say that to you. There were a lot of people in that draft years ago who wanted Julio Jones with the Cleveland Browns.
Aren't we still on that draft tree? Aren't we still on branches of that draft tree?
The tree never ends. It's a redwood.
We've taken 5,342 players with that trade down.
But that I can believe with fans because they really wanted Julio Jones.
Yeah.
In this sense, I can look back on it like when we do the Baker stuff. Let me bring up another example. Go, whoa. There's a lot of you that are revisionist, and we can go back to where it was. Like when I brought up the one guy who was writing on my Facebook about how bad he thought Baker was, and then years later, we could have kept. But no, I got written record here, sir, documented record. You said Baker Mayfield bleeping sucks. You wrote that on my Facebook. This is right here for you to see, and this is from back in the day. So if fans can do that, you and I can go back to our memory and go, no, you guys, there were a couple people like Jordan Tyson, but you weren't pounding the table for Jordan Tyson. You weren't doing that. So if they want to go ahead and do that, fine. But I think it takes a lot of pressure off them, and it takes a lot of pressure off a guy like Spencer Fano because we're not going to be making that direct one-on-one correlation. You can't. They don't play the same position, but you can't make that direct one-on-one comparison. I think it's so much better because I think it's easier. If Carnell Tate isn't there, I think it's so much easier for a general fan to look at a guy like Spencer Fano, great personality, hell of a work ethic, and go,
well, this is what I
get behind this guy. I like this guy. I think I can really, really enjoy him. And I think over the weekend, he's a lineman. Not a lot of people know. I'll say this quick. I think a lot of people really fell in love with his personality over the weekend.
Of course. Well, and this brings us to the orange dot conversation. So the orange dot, according to this article, and I had heard that, every team has their way of basically saying, he's a good guy. That's a bad guy. The bad guy is more talented than the good guy. What do we do there? And come on, we're the Browns, front and center, right? Like this is what's so interesting to me. So in this report, at 8:48, the Saints select Arizona wide receiver Jordan Tyson with the 8th overall pick, making official the Browns' chance to begin the run on offensive tackles. Barry turns to national scout Zach Ayers and says, quote, "This was your orange dot, buddy. Tell us what we like about Spencer." And for the 2 rows of scout chairs near the entrance of the draft room, Ayers begins to explain why he designated the Utah offensive tackle a, quote, orange dot, which in Browns scouting parlance means Fano has elite character and makeup. And the reason, obviously, I find this fascinating because they go on to say he fits us beautifully with the orange dot. What has the Browns front office had a proclivity to do really since Andrew Berry has been here? And I mean, you could go through years earlier than just Andrew Berry, but they have been willing to take chances on guys that had questionable character. And we've seen that time and time again. Do you think this is almost, when we say overcompensation, that typically has a bad connotation, right? That almost means you're going so far to the other side that you're making mistakes. I don't mean it that way. I mean, do you think they are now prioritizing the good character stuff? Because they have been bitten. And they've been bitten in ways that other teams have not.
It depends.
Their bad character guys have not worked out, while other teams' bad character guys have.
I think at the top of the draft, I think that matters. I do. I think later on, maybe you're going, hey, if this guy doesn't, like we made a big deal. Remember years ago, we made a big deal about Antonio Callaway. Antonio Callaway, at the end of it, was a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, you could still expect something out of a 4th-round pick. I think it was a 4th-round pick. But if he's a 4th-round pick and it doesn't wash out and he didn't wash out, like, that's okay. That's on him. That's the way it goes. You just have to make sure your other picks are good and sturdy players. And I think last year, you go back to Mason Graham, you go back to Carson Schlesinger. I understand that there was obviously the incident with Quinshon Judkins, which scares the hell out of a lot of people there because
would Judkins have had the orange dot?
As far as I know, that there was nothing before that would have ever said anything. That's as far as I know. So I don't know if he would have had the orange dot, but I didn't see anything beforehand. Okay. So I don't know. But when it comes to Spencer Fano, yeah. That's an orange dot guy, I guess.
Michael Hall. Obviously later on, Perrion Winfrey and,
they wouldn't have had orange dots.
And they famously, now the Deshaun Watson thing is very interesting because for his first 3 or 4 years in the NFL, he was considered an orange dot guy, like the way we're talking about it now. And now you know what people would say about whether or not he would deserve the orange
I also
dot.
think there's certain positions where that does matter more. I mean, a guy in an offensive line, they call them the Mushroom Society for a reason. They're kept in the dark, and you're not really supposed to hear much out of them. And I mean, they're offensive linemen. They're not really supposed to be problems for anybody.
Right.
And Spencer Fano, when you talk about character, okay, is he going to put in the work? Is he going to take being a professional seriously? Or is this going to be based on just his talent, and we're going to be wondering what he could have accomplished? Like, again, I go back to Jed Wills. Jed Wills was a very talented athlete. It just didn't materialize because I think he didn't want to put the work in after a while. And I think he got down on things, and I don't know if he knew how to respond to a challenge. Spencer Fano is going to have to respond to a challenge. This is a team that is better than what they were last Thursday morning. They have to be. But they're still going to struggle at times because this is the NFL.
It's just very interesting.
Are you going to respond to that?
One of the themes, I think, not only of this show and of this since this station launch, are the debates that we would get about players with questionable character that had either incidents or accusations or whatever over the years. And so many fans would go, shut up, who cares, just win football games. We would get that all the time. But when they're not,
and you're looking for common denominators, why?
And I just laugh because clearly this was a big deal to them to get the guy that didn't have any of that and have him drafted very high and feel good about him, bringing him into the ecosystem and represent the Cleveland Browns. And they're telling you that this is something very important to them. So we'll remember this next time and ask, hey, that player have the orange dot that you were mulling over?
Can I answer that real quick when we come back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
give me 1 minute when we come back to answer that because we do have to get to something that was just terrible last night. The Guardians game became an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm for one fan out in the bleachers. That's coming up in 5 minutes. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the absolutely positively free Odyssey app. Friends.
offseason special every Tuesday from 7 till 9 p.m. right here and on the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Very, very sharp mentally. He has an advanced understanding of football. I think that he'll feel more like a veteran when he gets here from the football intelligence aspect, which gives him a chance to play early.
That's Andrew Berry from the Draft Review Show last night. Let me just point this out, and then I want to get to this of this fan who took this baseball away from this little girl. You can't take all orange dot guys, quote unquote, but I think in a draft like this, again, if there was such crazy top-end talent, quarterback, I think you have to have high-character guys. I really do. They have to lead the locker room. They're set to make the most money. You got to trust them. You've basically picked a new president of your organization when you get a new quarterback, and that's a different animal. But when it comes to a lot of other positions, you can take risks on guys if you have the right people already in the locker room. So with Spencer Fano, and I keep bringing up Carson Swessinger. Are those guys going to be setting the tone in 3-4 years when you bring in other guys who might have some question marks and go, we're not doing it like you did it wherever you're from. This is different now. We're doing it this way. Like you're hoping in 3 to 4 years this team has made the playoffs. They have the right guys who they're paying long-term, lifetime Cleveland Browns, quote unquote, and that you can trust that they will police your locker room. It's not always going to be sunshine and roses. There's always going to be ups and downs, things like that. But if you can keep the right, proper mindset with that and then continue to bring in guys like that, that helps. So what this did for me is that shows that this is a building block and that character in a draft like that, which is not going to be great on the talent spectrum, character is really going to matter for those type of guys, especially for an offensive lineman, especially for a guy like Spencer Fano. So I'm encouraged by that orange dot conversation. We'll get back to that coming up here in a bit because there is another thing that, while it's really, really good for this year, it might not be good for the future. Some people are making it very clear to me. So yesterday, this was caught on Ray's TV. A guy named Ryan Bass went over and took a baseball to a little girl. Why did he take a baseball to a little girl? Because there was a home run ball that was hit. Do we want to? I don't know if I want to give the name of the guy.
No.
So
I don't think you need to. I think it's out there.
Well, they've found him. It's pretty easy.
They found him.
They found him in about 5 seconds.
Always think about this when you are in public going forward, that it took maybe 45 minutes for people to track down a complete stranger and figure out his social media.
On his business website right now.
Yeah.
Schneeman hits a home run.
5-star Google reviews?
Schneeman hits a home run in the bottom of the fifth.
We're still waking up.
It goes to left field. It's going into the bleachers. There's a man who looks like a larger version of Hunter Gaddis. He goes to catch the baseball. The baseball bounces out of his hands and bounces to his left. To his left, about 10 feet over, it seems, there is a little girl. She goes to grab the baseball. She looks like she's 8 to 10 years old, somewhere in that range. When she goes to grab the baseball, the man has chucked over to his left and snatches the baseball away from the girl and goes back and sits down, and he has his triumph, his trophy in his hand.
Oh, he had good horizontal speed here. I mean, if this were the
there
combine,
was lateral movement there. Yeah, he's the cone drill.
Lateral movement.
That was impressive.
So a man named Ryan, the Tampa Bay Television, Rays TV, caught this. I was watching on FS1. I didn't see. Rays TV caught this, and a man named Ryan Bass, who is their sideline reporter there for Rays TV, went and got a baseball and took it over to the little girl. Almost Harry Carey style, up in the stands, went up to the bleachers.
Made it right.
Here you go, made it right. Well, the internet did its thing, and I think that this man started checking his phone and was getting his phone blowing up going, holy potatoes. And eventually, according to Mother, the man did eventually give the baseball back. So that has to be put into this, because I think that there is something to be said for realizing you've done something wrong, coming to it, even if it took a few innings, to realize you've come and done something wrong here, to then try to make good by giving a baseball back. Can I introduce that into this conversation before we go hammering this guy? Because there's part of me, I don't condone it whatsoever. You can't. And if this happened in another city, I'll be honest. If this was in another city, I'd be hammering this guy. but I'm a little
Ken
nervous.
knows he might be a listener.
Well, no, but it's
and
here.
he knows what just happened with Filipponi in Pittsburgh the other day. And
if you want to know something, the guy's here. Do I really want to get a bunch of Cleveland fans? You said he's a business owner. Do I want to incite business fans to go and have some retribution on him?
You want him to be an advertiser.
What he did was ridiculous. What he did was silly. So now you're going to bait me into saying really horrible things about the guy so you guys can all laugh and Keith can text you. What I'm pointing out is that we do have a responsibility to be somewhat responsible about it, even though what I think the guy did was repugnant. Absolutely repugnant.
We do have a statement from the mom as well. She said, "You all watched the man steal the ball from my daughter. You know, my son went to ask for the ball, which was so brave. I just have to say thank you to Tampa for broadcasting it when Cleveland broadcasts cut to puppies rather than show the man stealing the ball from a child." Is that something they typically do, cut to puppies?
Well, it was a big puppy day, but they did also show him taking the ball, and then they cut to puppies.
Then they did. I cannot thank Ryan and Tampa enough for making things right. Thank you for all looking out for all young baseball fans. It is top-notch sportsmanship. My daughter and I cried happy tears. I'm so proud of my kids for how they handled tonight, and so proud of Tampa and its fans for standing up for the child. The pressure resulted in the man giving her the home run ball back 4 to 5 innings later toward the end of the game. It wasn't the same, but we appreciated him doing the right thing.
It's not the same, but I am glad he did the right thing. What's the statute of limitations for doing the right thing? By the end of the game, I think he should be kind of okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's okay, according to the internet. I mean, they doxed him. they went and they proudly doxed him.
Oh my God!
He tweeted out that what you don't see is that I gave her the ball back, right? Which that's the reply post is 4 to 5 innings later. He has since deleted that account. That's probably a indicator of where things are going.
Of how things are going.
Yeah.
And then
I've been saying it for years.
And
man.
then, to me, completely irrelevant what he is wearing. However, it apparently is very relevant to the people on the internet because it launched a Chief Wahoo dialogue. But then they found pictures of him with a Chief Wahoo, but celebrating Pride, which then just muddied the conversation, and people didn't know how to take that. So I like, me, I like somebody that's very confusing politically.
Can I just do a champion's pose on this? Is why, again, you turn a certain age. We've been saying it for years. Not that anybody's disagreed with me on this. Not anybody on this show has disagreed with me on this. Mm-hmm. Guys, you turn a certain age. That's it. You got to be done with foul balls and home runs and all that other crap. That Zach guy who runs around and writes books and all that stuff, who catches all those home run balls. All
Hempler,
he's first off, hasn't he been banned from a couple of ballparks?
I think he has, yeah.
The second thing is
because of his tactics.
Everybody just makes fun of the guy.
Everybody just makes fun of the guy.
So do you want to be that? Do you want to be a grown man who takes baseballs away from young people? No. When you're a kid, like Lima kept bringing up when he was a kid, a foul ball or a home run was the biggest thing in the world to him. And then, I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Then my voice changed.
Your voice changed. You found girls. You saw something that you'd never seen before, and all of a sudden, foul balls don't matter at all to you. And that's what it should be.
And the things I did chasing for baseballs, it was the other way around.
That's what it should be.
That's actually a thing that every night especially if I don't have any of the kids with me, I kind of look around and go, okay, if I get one, I'm going to that direction right there,
To me, it's the equivalent of a grown man in an Easter egg hunt with a bunch of kids. It's like, what are you doing? It's the same silliness. Like if you're at church and you saw a grown man, like, what are you doing over there, dude? Like it'd be the same thing.
If he brought his baseball mitt to church on Easter Sunday, I would have some questions.
To do. It's just like,
catching
man,
eggs out of the air,
taking the gifts up with his mitt.
There's so many other things in life that are so much better than I think catching a foul ball or catching a home run ball. If it were a 500th home run ball, maybe there is a bit of a discussion, but you got to catch the thing.
Yeah,
you got to catch the thing. You didn't catch it. That's on you.
Okay, I had no problem. I'm with you the whole way. I'm not trying to catch balls at games anymore. I don't know, whatever. I grew out of that phase a long time ago.
Yes.
There are a bunch of people that still do. And look, I don't know how many times some of these guys get to go to baseball games in general. We're spoiled. I mean, I've been to so many games. Doesn't matter to me anymore. So maybe that plays into it too. But, okay, he mishandles it to begin with and then chases after it. I really have no problem with that. He should have had some awareness
Yes.
Like, who am I fighting off for a baseball?
And
of course it was a young girl. And of course that girl ends up bawling her eyes out for the next 2 innings. I felt so heartbroken for her because clearly this meant the world to her to have that ball. And this dude, I just feel like you get to a certain age, develop some awareness in life. Take some social cues.
I remember.
See that this would mean something to this girl.
It is the perfect setup for I'm sorry, it's a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. Because, like, I told you the one story, I went to a Guardians game, an Indians game back in the day, and there was this kid reading a book, and my mom was so upset because it was like, these are hard tickets to get. This kid is a clear baseball fan. Like, she's wearing the Pitt Vipers, the whole thing. This kid loves baseball. So I'm glad he did the right thing. I hope that we realize that eventually here. But, man, this is why just let the baseball drop. Just let somebody else go. Let it be somebody else's problem. If you want a baseball that bad, go to the team store. Go to the team store. If it's that bad, if you want it that bad as a grown man, then you're willing to pay the $35 or $40 it costs at the team store. Daniel Yafusi, 8:20 this morning. And the draft was damn good for the Browns. Will it cost them in the long run? Peter & Company Jewelers.
Browns content filtered right to your phone during the offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
There is one person texting us who's kind of defending the guy about the baseball, and that's about it. Everything else is just like, I'm not going to tell you who's texting us because I don't want them to be under fire.
Well, it ain't the people on the internet.
Needless to say, this show vehemently disagrees with the person texting. Everybody, just let it be a PSA to every grown man out there. You're a grown man, you got to use this as a cautionary tale. No, it ain't worth it. If you want a baseball that bad, they sell it. I know they're, and by the way, they're not cheap at the team shop. I was shocked when you told. How much are they at the team shop?
I mean, don't quote me on these numbers, but I know they're more than 25. They had to, depending on who it was.
Yeah.
$35-$40
Oh my gosh.
Game ball.
So I just don't care about foul ball, baseball, home run, whatever. I don't
know. The balls aren't just out and setting. And then they have like grab bag where you're just buying a foul ball. You don't know who you're getting. I think they have the holograph thing that like guarantees that it's an actual, it says what it is, but.
And then there's like a code that you can scan.
Right.
It'll show you exactly what happened on that pitch.
Oh, that's kind of fun. And that's how much? Is that cheaper?
I know.
I know.
The mystery bag is cheaper, but you don't know what you're getting there.
You get
might get Cord Phelps.
Might get a Cord Phelps foul ball from back in the day. Yeah, might get that. Okay, I mean, that's a good item. Not that great of an item. Don't mean to take anything away from the late, great Jess Sindelar. This should be an example because you were reading some of the comments.
People have found him.
Oh, my gosh.
On his personal stuff, and it's just, hey, do you have any home run balls? Did you steal that ball from a little girl? Damn, brother, you bleeped your whole life for a home run ball. Hope it was worth it.
Gosh.
Did you steal that sweater like you stole that home run ball, Meatloaf Man?
Gosh. Don't take a home run ball. Just let it bounce. Let it bounce. Let the kids fight over.
I won't say anything else about it, but it's out
there.
there.
Well, the range of emotions for that dude, too, because he was so excited about the ball, and he was texting everybody, and people are like, hey, we saw you on TV. Like, his buddies were probably like, hey, and I wonder if he had any group chat buddies who were busting stones, and he's like, what? I was going after the baseball. What's the problem?
It was a great draft for the Browns. Daniel Yafusi is going to join us at 8:20 this morning. Also, James Jones, former Cleveland Cavalier, three-time NBA champion, former NBA executive. He's going to join us on the show coming up at 9:22 this morning. Are the Cavaliers in serious trouble, or is this just a better series than we thought it was going to be, than we gave it credit for at the outset of this series? We'll talk to James Jones about that coming up at 9:20 this morning. Andrew Berry, he's excited about the draft. A lot of people excited about the draft. Casey Concepcion, he's excited about him and what he brings to the offense. It's hard to pick a favorite player. You're seeing it all over the board. Andrew Berry was on the draft review show last night and was asked about Casey Concepcion and told Nathan what he brings to the offense.
Yeah, so for us, or at least the way I think about receivers is, there are three areas where they can create playmaking, and it's before the catch, at the catch point, after the catch. And I think a lot of the elite guys in the NFL, they can really do two of the three or one of them at a rare or exceptional level. With KC, we felt like he was among one of the best separators in the class, really top two in that regard. Really him and Jordan Tyson. And then, we thought he was, arguably the best ball in hand guy, after the catch. You add that into the makeup, the return ability, his ability to play inside, outside, and separate at all three levels. And we just felt like he was a high odds prospect for us, someone that we felt like we could utilize real well in our offense.
So you have a guy like that, and again, there's always going to be concerns about the quarterbacks he played with, the amount of drops, this, that, and the other. But when you go to this draft, there are, I thought, 4 guys that you would have as starters that would be penciled in here. And doing the show with Nathan last night, he's like, actually, there's 5. They believe Parker Brailsford can be their week 1 starter. at center coming up this year. I mean, that's a fifth-round guy.
Well, that is the one thing about bad teams that are bad, consistently, is there are opportunities to start.
There you go. And the offensive line was not good last year, no matter what anybody says. I think people can tell with their eyes about what the offensive line was and wasn't in 2025. So that being pointed out, there were a lot of people going, yeah, they love the draft, they love everything. But, Lima, you want to say the quiet part out loud for a lot of folks out there that seem to be questioning a few things?
Which is?
Was the draft too good?
Too good?
You brought this up. Don't you turn this around on me.
I was like, where's this going?
Don't you know? No, fine. You want to stonewall me, buddy?
No, I swear to God, I'm not stonewalling. I was like, I have no idea where you're going with this.
It was a question that was brought up that I did not want to bring up that was brought up. So don't stonewall me and think that I'm bringing up the question. I don't want to be the one to bring up the question about the 2026 draft being too good and what takes us out of the quarterback running for 2027.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole thing. Well, sometimes Ken leads me down a path, and I'm like, I have no idea where he's going, and that was definitely one of those.
It's amazing that we didn't talk about it before the show and said exactly what you wanted to talk about coming up at 7 o'clock. That's amazing.
The question is, and I haven't seen Vegas change their number at all when it comes to the Browns' win total. They're still predicted to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. But do you think that there is so much talent in this draft and then paired up with last year's draft that they are out of the running for a quarterback really high in next year's draft?
Two reasons. One, I don't think every team that's going to be near the top is going to need a quarterback that bad. I know it seems like it's going to be a really good class, and maybe there's a couple teams that talk themselves into needing a quarterback. I don't think that every team that's going to be not good is going to be doing that. So you might be out of the running for the biggest of the big names, and maybe there's some people out there that are truthers about the biggest name out there. Maybe there are. But if you're out of the running for him, you can get into the running for a lot of other guys. I mean, goodness gracious, there's people saying there's 7, maybe 8 guys that are first-round picks. We'll talk about Brennan Sorsby coming up in about last night. Maybe he's out of the running for a lot of Browns fans already before they even get rid of all the spring football or done with all the spring football. I don't think it takes you out of it. I don't think that we should be thinking that way. This is a team that desperately needed talent. They needed solid talent. And let's put it out this way. You can make trades, and if your talent is that good with this young football team, you can, even though it's going to be tough to do, you can rob Peter to pay Paul, and if you want to, you can move up in 2027 by taking from 2028 and even 2029 if you really want to. Now, they've done that before with disastrous results, but that was for a different guy who people are counting down the days until next June where we can be done with him. But that brings me to the second point of it. As good as this class is, and there are so many people just lavishing the Browns with praise, as good as this class is, how much faith do we have in the quarterbacks? I mean, now we're out of excuses now for. I mean, Deshaun Watson. I don't want to see him start. I want to see Shedeur Sanders start. But guys, we're out of excuses now for all the other stuff. All the things that were brought up last year.
Well, that's if these guys are good.
That's done. That's what I'm saying.
Like even Andrew Berry just said when talking about a few of these players, like he called them prospects. These high probability prospects. He's admitting that they're draft picks.
But they're still
they might be terrible.
But if you're taking guys that we think are still four first round talent guys that haven't
in
two of them
this
happen
draft,
to fall to
let's be careful. In one of the worst drafts in 25 years,
we're still one of the worst teams in all the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
So these guys, if it's not like you took a risk on any of these guys. These are seen as solid players. The biggest risk I can really see are the wide receivers, just because they're wide receivers. But
that
the other ones,
rate,
but
especially
the
at the
other
end
ones,
of the first round.
Yeah, but at the other ones, it's like, no, I think Spencer Fano is going to come in. He's going to start for a long time, and I think Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's going to be a good player for you for a long time. And I'm a little bit hesitant on just making Parker Brailsford the starting center in week 1, but fine. Put him out there if you want to, and let's see how she floats. Well, he's got to earn it through George Warhop, but if he does it, fine. I'm going to trust him on that. With the 2 wide receivers, it's just because of history of wide receivers. Maybe they'll be great. Maybe they won't be so great. Maybe one will be great and one won't be that great. But I'm just talking about the excuses that have been made for any of the quarterbacks out there that we've had, where it's like, nah, you can't. Stefanski's gone. Can't blame it on him. The wide receivers are better. Can't always blame it on that. There was a bad wide receiver room. They've addressed the offensive line like crazy. They have certainly addressed it. Now, will it be much better? We got to find out. That's why they got to put on the helmets and go out there and practice and everything. But you've addressed all these things that were considered needs and talent to get those guys. We're done with that. So you could very well go out there and still be like, people are looking at their win totals Okay, how many wins do you think they're going to have this year? They had 5 this last year. Can they get 6? Okay, after the draft, can they get 6? Can they get 7? Could they get 8? And if they get 8, maybe it takes them out of the running for it. But if they get 8, you could still be looking and going, yeah, you got 8 because you have a lot of good players around your quarterback, but your quarterback still ain't that excellent.
Yeah.
Like, you could always do that. And if you feel that confident about your other players, you can go into next year's draft and use that if you want to.
Now, obviously, we got to set aside the potential of a Myles Garrett trade, which there are still people around the league that are convinced the Browns are trading him after June. And obviously that throws everything. It wouldn't have mattered how much talent. You could have had 30 picks in the first round. If you trade Myles Garrett, you're going to be a bad team. You're almost assuredly going to be a really bad football team. So that would have changed the calculus on a lot of the conversations we're having. So we're setting that aside and assuming for the sake of this argument that he is on the team. And then, the easy schedule, the moves they made in free agency. I keep saying they've addressed the offensive line. Have they fixed the offensive line? I mean, we're all going to be sitting there waiting week 1, hoping that that's the case and not really ultimately knowing.
Do you believe that this draft has taken them out of the running them in 2027?
No, not at all. Because obviously, if you have really bad quarterback play again, it doesn't matter what your roster is. Really bad quarterback play, you top out at 5 wins and you could be worse. That's what really bad quarterback play does.
Well, then we'll ask the folks. 216-474-0092. Does this draft take the Browns out of running for a 2027 quarterback? Or is this where you're going, A, I think the quarterbacks are that good, we ain't got to have to worry about 2027, or B, and you could say that about Shedeur Sanders if you want to, or B, no, you just don't have that much faith in the quarterbacks, and that's what's going to hold this team back from being a serious contender to make the playoffs in 2026. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, 216-474-0092. I want to ask you guys coming up next on The Fan.
So much.
From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Yeah, I think, coming out of the weekend, very pleased where we are going into May. And it really starts with giving a ton of credit to our scouting staff, our research analysts, our coaches, everyone who worked so hard over the past several months to put together the best plan possible going into the weekend, and then ultimately executing on it.
Andrew Berry yesterday on the Draft Review Show, and of course I forgot my effing folder. I'm so mad at myself right now. I have my great manila folder, all my stuff.
Do you have a dot system? Orange dots?
I should have a dot system on my folders. Because I had the whole thing set up. I had my whole list of and yes, I've already made a list of the 2027 quarterbacks. I don't give a damn. I always have to be prepared. Sorry. I'm not going to do it like that and go, well, it's got to be Shador or nobody. No, I'm not doing that.
You don't think the Browns have done that?
And of course they have. Hell yeah,
so
they have.
Why would anybody be mad at you doing it?
There's people out there who believe that we're still going after a veteran. I'm not one of them, but there's still people who believe that. Hell, I tell you what, this is kind of off the cuff here. I think Taylor Green might have already made the 53-man roster.
Based on some of the stuff that's been said.
Based on some of the stuff that I heard from Nathan yesterday, based on what Andrew Berry said about him yesterday, 16 in there if you can. Yeah, here's Andrew Berry on yesterday's show.
Yeah, he's got elite physical characteristics and an elite makeup. He does need more polish and development at the position, like all these guys do. All these guys are going to – there's no ready-made player that comes into the NFL. But we felt like a player with Taylor's tools, as well as his makeup, at the most important position, that's the type of swing that we want to take and the type of player that we want to spend some time with and see if we can develop. And so we're excited to get him in here, next week and get going.
You see what Todd Monken has done with his career when it comes to quarterbacks, and I'm like, I tell you, I said something to Nathan yesterday. I was like, well, he's a 6th-round pick. If you can stash him on the P squad or something like that, and he kind of gave me like a look, like, like, oh, okay, like because I think that he would be, because I just haven't seen him since Arkansas, and we've seen a lot of guys play at a high level in college, and they get to the pros. I'm sorry, Dylan Gabriel played at a high level in college.
Yeah, he did.
Got to the pros and he looked lost out there. Now, this guy's 6'6" and can take off with it and go do some things, and that might be able to help him. But I don't just want to necessarily squeeze him right in and say that, yeah, he's definitely going to be the emergency quarterback on the 53-man roster. I don't think Dylan Gabriel will be here very much longer, so there makes room for that. I think the 4-quarterback type of thing, I think that's a little bit overblown. I think that they'll work with Taylor Green. I think they'll work with their starter, and they'll work with their backup, and they'll work with Taylor Green. And I think that Dylan Gabriel gets relegated to probably throwing the footballs to the ball boys, like Shador was last year, apparently. That's where I think that happens with Dylan Gabriel. So it does leave a spot open, and maybe Taylor Green would be there. I just don't want to put carts before horses on 6th-round picks. He's got a lot of great physical attributes that you would like about a quarterback. He's a very large individual.
Well, the 4.37 in the 40.
Yes.
And he had a 9.9 out of 10 on the athletic score.
Yeah. And some of the games that he had, like Nathan cited the Notre Dame game. I don't want to cite the Notre Dame game. I think that thing was a blowout in the first half, and I think Notre Dame's still scoring on Arkansas in that game. But there are a lot of other games. It's like, man, he really was a one-man show on their offense. And they do try to take it seriously down at Arkansas. I do think it's a take the checks, take the losses type of program, but I think they do try, and he was a hell of a quarterback for them. So I want to see what he's able to do within our system, within our offense. I just want to make sure, because I'm excited about him, but I'm not going to say, 53-man. I don't know that just yet. There was a bunch of turnovers last year. Maybe that stunts his growth a little bit of how, because the ball is always going to be in his hands, so there's bound to be more turnovers. But maybe that stunts his growth a little bit. I just don't want to put carts before horses to say absolutely he's on the 53-man roster. Not just yet. But they seem to be really excited about him, and that's something I want to ask Daniel Oyefusi. Like, is he already on the 53-man roster, even as a 6th-round pick, to be the emergency quarterback for this football team?
It's funny because normally you would think a guy like this would be a luxury. Like, the really good teams could kind of throw him on there or whatever because they're so loaded with talent. Like, the Browns have to be optimal with the way they use their talent. But when I start hearing things like punt return for this guy, too, they talked about him being able to do everything.
Well, he almost had 800 yards rushing last year. He had several games where I think he had 2 touchdowns on the ground. It was his feet that kept him in games at times. There was times where he had 3 touchdowns passing. Like, I don't think he's as rough as what some people make him out to be. I just think that we've gotten so used to arguing about quarterbacks that maybe there's a strong sentiment for him and then a strong sentiment against him because quarterbacks are polarizing. So I want to know from Daniel how he sees he's going to be. And obviously, like we hear good things from Andrew Berry. That's why they took the guy day 3. And I thought it was an exciting pick, and I was excited when they took him. And I'm going to be excited to see him coming up in training camp. I get to miss him in rookie camp because I'll be coming back from where we're at, wherever the hell we're going. But I'm excited to see him in OTAs and mini camps and all the other in training camp. Obviously,
I know we got into the big debate yesterday about whether he should convert and start training at other positions, and you were steadfast against that completely. But at the same time, like, I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't thoroughly excited, about seeing him. Now, I do have a question. Like, he's going to be 24 this year during the season. Does that change? Because his clock, like we're all saying, he's not remote. Like if he were to do the quarterback thing,
I'm glad you brought this up.
If he's not remotely ready to be quarterback this year at 24, and Joe Burrow was 24 in his first year, and he was considered elderly when he came in. So if he's not remotely ready now, that's age 24, then that means he's definitely not going to be ready the following year, 25. Now we're talking about if he would really, if a team would be open to giving him a shot at actually playing quarterback. And maybe he got lucky. Maybe he got thrown into some games because of injuries and because 64 quarterbacks get to go every single year now in the NFL. Like, you're just wondering what the runway, like, I would understand what was Anthony Richardson, when he got drafted. He was so young, right?
Yeah.
So
I thought so.
This is not that. This is more the Joe Burrow age realms. That's why I just find it hard to believe he's ever going to truly get a shot.
I'm glad you brought this up. A real shot, the odds are slim. He's a 6th-round choice. A chance to start, the odds are better than a lot of people probably think. I mean, we're talking about a team that I think they can be better than they were last year. The schedule would say so. I think the talent would say more about that. However, you have a bunch of injuries out there. God forbid something bad happens. You could get to the end. And I think that there's always going to be – there's a lot of people who aren't big on Deshaun Watson. There's half the group, I think, that's not very big on Shedeur Sanders. You could get to the final couple of weeks of the year and see that neither of these guys are the answer and go, fine, let's see what Taylor Green has here by the end of the season before we move on to 2027, just like they've done in the past with other guys. So there is a distinct possibility he could play for this football team. But I'm glad you brought up the age thing, because this is something that we brought up before. We always, they always have to test their guardrails. We have to test our guardrails with what we say about them, because they do want younger football players, and they've shown in the past that they've wanted younger football players, both when Andrew Berry's been the general manager and when Andrew Berry was one of the assistant general managers back in the day before he came over here back to be the GM of the Cleveland Browns. Or I don't know if he was an assistant GM in Cleveland before, but I know he was, I think, in Philly. Either way, when he came back here to be working with the Cleveland Browns, when you have a guy who doesn't test his guardrails, you find yourself behind. They have to look at what college football has become, where guys are older, especially guys who are in the back end of the draft, day 3 of the draft. You're looking at a lot of guys who, compared to where we were drafted years ago, these are old fogies. 24 years old? I mean, we've taken guys who are 20. But when you look at a 24-year-old...
What was Njoku when he came in?
He was 20 years old. He was not a drinking age yet. His birthday's in July. And I think of that, and I go to this, I go, well, it's a back-end first-round pick, or a back-end day 3 pick in the draft, I should say, 6th-round pick. But it's also, you got guys staying for longer now because they can make money. Why put off having to go make a team when you have a ready-made spot and you can make $500,000, depending on what team you play with, where you can go make money? So you're going to have guys try to expand their eligibility as much as they can, extend it as much as they can, so they can make it. So, yeah, you're going to have to take some guys. If you want to take a quarterback on day 3, you're going to have to take a guy who's 24, maybe even 25 years old. I mean, that's how Indiana won a national championship. They played with a bunch of grown men on that football team. So I think our ideas of young guys got to change.
You're 100% right.
And if Taylor Green plays for our football team, say he makes the team, and he makes the team year after year, and say he becomes a gadget player for us, a Taysom Hill player for us, You get 5 years out of the guy by the time he's 29 and maybe his body starts to fail you. 6th-round pick, that's a win. That is a win 1,000 times
pick,
over.
yes.
Yeah, because I bring this up with Donovan
That's
Peoples-Jones.
for the Browns.
That people can even be disappointed in Donovan Peoples-Jones in the 6th round tells me he was a good choice.
I want to know, though, in getting back to our argument yesterday, and we don't need to kick and scream about it, but if I'm advising him, and look, everybody wants to be quarterback in the NFL. There's a reason that people will do whatever it takes at that position, first and foremost. Nobody wants to be told that you're not, that premium position. At the same time, what would you ballpark the estimate that he could actually become a starting quarterback in this league? Like, go into a season.
Less than 10%.
I was going to say less than 5.
I'm being generous.
But if,
you know me.
But if I then said, with that athleticism, and I use the Terrell Pryor example, there aren't a lot. There are very few examples. Who was the white wide receiver with Jacksonville back in the day?
Matt Jones?
Yes, okay.
You're thinking
okay.
Matt Jones.
Thanks for bailing me out there.
He was quarterback for Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay,
Correct.
so it works out. What are the odds if he were to transition to wide receiver or to slash or athlete or whatever, that he would have a chance to stick and actually get another contract if he did it now? If he devoted his life's work to moving now.
But this is what could get him on the roster. I don't have to do that right now. See, that's where I disagree
you
with
as
you.
the Browns don't have to do it.
I understand.
I'm talking about him and his future.
I understand, but I took him as a quarterback. But what I'm saying is you're such an athlete. Mm-hmm. Let's find a way to get you on the field. And if that means getting you on the field in certain packages, and you could be an emergency QB, and I got to check the rules because I got to see if what I'm saying I can actually back up about the emergency QB thing. But if there's days where it's like, hey, man, he's a tight end who could end up playing quarterback. Okay, let's see him in certain packages there. H-back. Let's see him in certain packages lined up. Like, there's certain things that you can try to do with a guy. So let's see. I imagine he has a high football IQ. Okay, so if I'm going to have a high football IQ, because you have to learn a lot of different things if you're going to do these things, and they took him in the 6th round. If you have a high football IQ, then do what you can to make sure I can get you on the field. Like, that's the first and foremost thing. So it's not just where you're a typical drop back QB. I can find those just about anywhere.
Yeah.
But if I got a weapon like you, and I see your athleticism, and I go, this guy, there's something here that I want to tap into at some point during this season. You're a 6th-round pick. We're in no hurry to get you on the field in games that matter right off the tippy top. But maybe in September, all of a sudden, okay, you know what? We're gonna run a series of plays here, and at some point in this series, we're gonna bring out Taylor Green, and he's gonna do something here. And I don't even know how we're gonna use him. Maybe we'll just run a simple draw with him, and he's gonna hand the ball off to Quinshawn Judkins. But I got something on tape that now you have to plan for. And you have to see something. And that throws it off to other teams.
I agree with you. Listen, we're not disagreeing on any of this. I think that stuff could be really, really exciting. I can't wait to see him in training camp. I can't wait. And I'll tell you one thing I was definitely wrong, and I will go back on from yesterday. You mentioned training camp and preseason game. Fine. Throw him out there quarterback in the preseason game. Like, I do want to see that. I'd also like to see him line up elsewhere.
The second half of preseason games are going to be I know they were a big deal last year, considering these are a big damn deal for me this year. I'm going to have a lot of fun watching them.
Yeah, I'll be at the feast.
Last year was popular, but
I'll be at the feast, and you know what? I'll actually watch the second half of a Browns preseason game for once.
Because when we talked to Todd Monken personally, I want to know, how do you go about getting this guy acclimated, and then how do you get him on the field? Because there's multiple things that you can do for this guy, and if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. But I just don't want to waste the pick. And I know that this is way off from what we were talking about, but you could tell how intrigued I am about Taylor Green, about getting him on the field. No, I don't think he's going to compete with Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, vice versa, however you want to take that. He's not going to compete for the starting job. And I don't believe he's going to be a starter in the league long term. But if there's a 3% or a 2% chance, that's still a better chance than what a lot of guys have. So fine, let's see what he might have, and a way to get this guy on the field and see whether or not he has something. We are as open-minded with offenses as we've ever been. And so there's no reason to close my mind and say, this is why I got so upset yesterday. There's no reason to close my mind and say he should be a tight end, he should be a wide receiver, he should be an H-back. You can learn those things, and maybe I put him in those places, but he's earned the right to be a QB first. Daniel Yafusi, 8:22 this morning. Travis Bazzana is coming up, Cleveland. He's finally making his way up, and is there already a QB? I know we can't help but think about 2027. Was there some news last night that already took a QB off the board for you? It's coming up in about last night in 5 minutes on The Fan.
15. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
We got Cavs tickets coming up at 8 o'clock. Sorry, John, go ahead. He wanted me to shout Cavs tickets.
Do you want to be a part of the solution? Go to the Cavs game. Cheer. That's what they need.
I did not like the reaction to my tweet about Cavs tickets being available at 6 and 8. I did not like that.
What, this town's just ready for basketball to be over so we can just move on?
I mean, you guys sit there and act like they've won 8
what?
games over the last 2 years. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, you guys notice there's not a lot of defense I can make of the Browns over the last couple of years, so I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, that's the way you go. The team has won a lot of damn basketball games over the last couple of years.
They'd rather be the Pistons. You'd rather be Pistons
I would
fans
rather
today.
not be the Pistons. Oh, boy. Speaking of, go ahead, John.
All right, Travis Bazzana finally gets called up, the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 MLB Draft /287, 422, and 511 in 24 games in AAA Columbus this year. What kind of rookie year performance would you guys be happy with from Travis Bazzana?
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for some numbers. I'm looking for
numbers.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a real
7,
numbers guy over
11,
here. What do you?
42.
Oh, 42.
They're Hurley's numbers from loss.
Do you just want him to? Do you just want him to look competent out there? Like, what do you want him to be?
I want him to be competent. I want him to. I want them to take it easy with him.
I'd like him to be Rookie of the Year and AL MVP.
He can't be Rookie of the Year.
Yes, he can.
No,
ease him
he's
in.
got a Rookie of the Year.
Let's not go crazy. I don't want to have happen what happened with
pitched last night.
With happened with Francisco Lindor. You remember that one issue when he first came up? I'm just talking to myself now. When he first came up, where what was it? Kipnis, who was a little bit critical, talked about guys not running out ground balls and not running out fly balls and things like that. Like, I don't want it to be like that. But just show me what you got, and let's take it easy, and let's be patient with the young man and not sit there and compare him to everybody else in that draft class. Let's let him wet his beak first before we start going after and saying crazy things about this guy. Let's just be patient. He's up here. We're happy that he's up here. Let's let him get settled into big league baseball.
All right. So last night at the Guardians game, a man tried to steal a home run ball from a little girl. He did, and then tried to give it back. And, well, here's how it sounded on Rays TV.
No, he's not going to steal that. Yeah, that can't happen. Well, when you see something wrong has occurred, it's nice to make up for it. And Ryan Bass making up for that Cleveland fan by going out and making friends, and she deserves that baseball.
What a guy. What a guy.
Look at that.
She's good. Yeah, she's crying.
She looks emotional. Yeah. With her sunglasses on. Mom giving a hug. What a sweet moment. Way to go, Ryan.
That's phenomenal.
Yes, it is. They didn't show because we'd gone to break. The boy, who I imagine is her brother, had gone up to that fan.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was asking the fan, can we give that to my sister?
Reconsider.
Oh.
And, yeah, you know what? It was an interaction that was uncomfortable to watch.
It was.
You felt embarrassed for the guy.
He had multiple
uncomfortable
chances.
to hear.
He had so many chances to give the ball back. The
He did eventually. He did eventually.
Yeah, but does it count, though? Does it count if he gave?
It does.
Yes, it did. You have come on
To be strong-armed by the internet?
Okay, that's fair. That is a fair point to make. But he still ended up doing the right thing, which was not fighting a child for a baseball was the first thing he should have done. However, he didn't make the right choice at first. He still made amends, and he gave the baseball to the little girl, who ended up, I think, giving it to what looked like her brother.
Everybody's just giving the ball around.
Because the
because
Rays,
they're meant for kids.
Hot potato.
It's a hot potato Monday out there.
You're a grown man. You shouldn't be fighting kids for home runs. You shouldn't be trying to catch home runs and foul balls and stuff like that. Shouldn't be bringing a baseball glove to a game.
So our gumshoes.
Stop that stuff.
Our radio gumshoes are all over it. He's been on the broadcast before. He's been interviewed by Dre on the broadcast before. And he seems to be in those seats all the time, which, of course, you'd logically deduce he's a season ticket holder that has those seats. And he has a lot of attempts at home run balls over the years.
I will give you just an excerpt from a different Twitter post. It says, grown man falling on his face, battling little kids for a home run. That not from last night, but from last July.
He's been accused of trampling little kids for balls in the past. women and children.
This has happened before with this guy?
Apparently, according to these accusations that we are reading on dated social media posts.
No, I can't. No,
So-
That are,
I
of
did
course,
not know
brought to you by
this.
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier
And we have
jewelers.
people saying they're reaching out to him on behalf of the show. We will be a safe space. We will listen.
absolutely.
We will 100%.
If he wants to explain his side, yeah, go right on ahead.
We are a fair, I was going to say opportunistic show, which we are.
I'm not kicking Oyafusi off at 8:22 just to hear this guy try to explain his way out of this. I'll tell you that. But any other time you want to call in, that's not James Jones at 9:20 either. You go right on ahead and do so. That's fine.
Or when we're giving away Cavs tickets.
Or when we're giving away Cavs tickets at 8 o'clock.
This guy
or
would
tickets
trample.
to see Usher and Chris Brown.
I think this guy would trample women and children to go get those Cavs tickets if at all
that's true.
possible.
So is this like George Costanza shoving people out of the way with the stove caught on fire? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I didn't know there was a previous incident. If there's a previous incident, then
maybe he wants to explain that one away
I can't confirm
too.
that, but I'm still researching.
home run balls, man, they're not that big a deal. Unless it sets a record, it's not a big deal. Go ahead, John.
The Magic beat the Pistons last night 94-88 to take a 3-1 lead in the series. This would be the 7th 8 seed to beat a 1 seed in NBA history. Does this make you feel at all better about the Cavs?
It doesn't. It should. This was part of my formula for the Cavs making a deep run, is because I looked at the bracket and said, holy smokes, the Cavs should have a nice route to be able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and a huge part of that was looking at these teams. Remember, Orlando was dead and buried, and they were mocked and ridiculed for their first play-in game. And coaches were getting fired. Players were getting traded. There was a report about a mutiny behind the scenes, and now they're one win away from getting to the second round of the Eastern Conference. So this was part of the formula. I was right when it came to this side of the bracket. I haven't necessarily been right about our side of the bracket, our game. So let's go.
I am surprised. This has reached DEFCON 1 level up there in Detroit, which if we don't win tomorrow, it's going to reach DEFCON 1 level here.
As well it should.
I think people are downtrodden on the Cavs, but that would be a level of despair. I know this is their first trip to the playoffs there, but they were a number one seed. This would be an absolute disaster for the Detroit Pistons. That would put a lot of pressure on us if we were. I think we should finish this series. I think we win the next two and we move on to the next round. But boy, that Orlando series, people are going to be questioning
listen,
that and be pessimistic about that.
Here's important. I'm going to start throwing out some names quickly and get crazy, because in the NBA, the way that the atmosphere is around the league with teams that have gone all in, like the Knicks, right? The amount of and the Cavs, the amount of teams. You hear Giannis rumors, right? But only one team can get Giannis. And I saw a CBS article that had 11 teams that could be pursuing Giannis this offseason. Okay, well, only one team can get Giannis. So what do you do if you don't get Giannis and you are an early exit team? And the names of some of the older NBA players that started coming up: Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Like, you just start going down the path. LeBron, certainly. Like, there is a bunch of moving parts that could get really, really interesting the day that the season ends for a lot of these teams, and the Cavaliers included.
That's it for About Last Night.
Outstanding, John. Outstanding as always, my friend. Yes, Travis Bazzana is coming up to Cleveland today. We'll get back to that coming up here in a little bit. And you're going to hate hearing this about Andrew Berry, but just give me one moment to explain, and you'll know I'm right. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Daniel Oyafusi, ESPN. Has Taylon Green already made the 53-man roster? He'll answer that at 8:22 after we give away Cavs tickets in 5 minutes on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people at Window Nation and windownation.com. Now, you
Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Baseball, basketball, and the Browns. It's why you need the afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2.
Here 92.3 The Fan. The station that we're on right now that you can hear us doing sports talk radio.
Doing that sports talk.
Talking about a 6th-round pick. Be the caller number 3 right now. 216-474-0092. Win a pair of tickets to see Cleveland Cavaliers take on the Raptors in Game 5 action. That's tomorrow, April 29th at Rocket Arena. Maybe you'll see me there. Looks like I'll be making a public appearance, Kenny. Tickets available at Cavs.com. It's all from the Cavaliers and Sports Radio.
Hopefully you don't run into the guy that tried to fight you in the men's room the one day we went.
Listen, if I see a basketball that comes up there into the concourse,
steal it?
I am taking it from everyone.
That's your right.
I paid my ticket. Well, actually, no, I won't be paying.
This is the dumbest trip to the men's room I've ever made in my entire life. Some guy just starts talking trash to Tone and then just continues. I'm like, guy, leave us alone. What are you doing? What are you doing?
You loved it. Come on.
I thought it was bizarre, and then I thought he was actually going to try to haul off and slug you. We're leaving a WWE event. Go back when you could actually afford tickets to things like that, and then I'm like, what are you doing? Go away. I don't care what he did with your ex-girlfriend who you weren't even with 10 years ago. Get out of here, you weirdo.
Was it during regular Raw, or was it during when Raw is War, which is the second hour?
I think this was a SmackDown show we went to, wasn't it? I don't know. All I know is there were smart fans behind us. There were smarks behind us. And Lima and I treated it like a real sporting event, and they were so annoyed. They were so annoyed. Like, they were judging and doing, like, Meltzer type stuff. And Lima and I were drunk, and we were yelling, and we treated it like they brought out, who was it? They brought out Samoa Joe, and he was the baddest person who ever walked the planet, and I wanted him to kick the bleep out of so-and-so, man. I really wanted to, man. I was loving it. Loved every second of it. Great show. Great show. Now I don't know what we're going to do. I'll go to AEW. That's affordable, right? Go to that. Or
I hope
the Wolstein
so.
Center or something.
Yeah,
They
I
coming
hope
it
so.
down. Might be fine. You want to come on?
No, I'm busy that day.
Yeah, you got real wrestling you got to go to. Yeah. The real stuff. All right, coming up at 8:20, Daniel Oyefusi going to join us on the show. All right, you're going to hate hearing this from me. I thought about this yesterday, and I went, holy potatoes. So I'm going to say this, and I think people are not going to like hearing it because I think that people are coming around a little bit because of this draft. You are. But I got to explain this. Where do most pundits have the Browns draft ranked?
Number 1.
Number 1.
A+.
A+. Number 1. Pro Football Talk, Pro Football Focus, everybody that got Browns number 1. If you fire Andrew Berry, do you get that type of draft? Hear me out. You want to hear me out?
Okay, go ahead.
When you fired general managers willy-nilly, okay, you would have a lot of punting on drafts. You would have a situation like when Joe Banner first came in and he picked a guy out of a magazine, and him and Mike Lombardi basically traded away that draft in 2013 for 2014 and beyond. They just got out of it, right? It was like their first time out there. They didn't really know what was going on. You make these switches in January, and then you have to take really 3 years of work with some of these guys, even more now because guys are transferring all over the place and everything like that. You're taking 3 years of work and condensing it into 3 months. And especially when you're really starting to draw profiles on it, we're talking 13 months in the past. Like the guys who are coming out in 27, they already started that work back then. We don't realize that they have already started that work. They got done with their process for the draft this year. They went through some of the other things and getting ready for the draft. But those scouts are working on 2027 and beyond already, and they've been doing it for well over a month now. If you fired Andrew Berry, I don't think there's any chance you get the quality you get out of this draft because he and his staff are ready. And that might be a good thing. You're just thinking, hey, if you end up starting to turn in some good drafts, I can't fire you for starting to turn in good drafts.
That's the only way the team can get good is through good drafts.
I'm not happy about the first 5 drafts. Now, there's obviously some good players in there. You can't take all bad players and still keep your job. But the first 5 drafts, there's some duds in there. Certainly some duds. But if you started to get the job done and started to work your way through it, that's fine. And this is one of the things that I think that the Haslams try to learn from, is they pay attention to their history really, really closely. And some of the mistakes that they've made, and the only criticism that I would have is at times they try to overcorrect some of the mistakes that they've made. But they do try to learn from the mistakes. And that's why whoever they take, if it's Shedeur ends up being a good quarterback or they end up taking a quarterback in 2027, we are going to go through the gamut with that fella. They're going to try to squeeze every single inch before they ever move on from that guy if he ends up not being a good quarterback. Hopefully we don't got to worry about any of that stuff, right? Right. But if you have a brand new GM going into this year with a draft that seemed to have landmines all over the place, and we're coming out of it going, man, there were 4 guys here that were taken in the first few rounds that we have that ended up being arguably first-round picks by a lot of people. You can make an argument for 4 first-round guys there. I just don't think you get that unless you get so insanely lucky. I don't think you get that with any first-year general manager in this draft.
Well, they would have been using the scouts from this team because they don't fire the scouts before the draft. They keep the scouts, but then is a new GM listening to those scouts? Exactly. Probably not,
because
right?
Your scouts are giving you some of the information. You probably don't necessarily trust those guys.
That's what I meant. Yes, yeah. Are you taking it all at face value or whatever? So I think it's a good point. Of course, had they have fired Andrew Berry a year ago, I think a new GM would have immediately traded Myles Garrett. You'd have more
If they fired him a
picks.
year ago, you'd have more picks, but you'd have more picks for this draft.
Yeah.
And if it would have been for this draft, like we were saying, what was the point of us trading down other than Travis Hunter might still end up being a good player, but clearly I think we got something that's going to be very good for us for a while.
Any Myles trade needed to include a 2027 first-round pick, too, because you wouldn't just have it all stacked up into one draft anyway. So I think it's a legitimate point that you're making.
But still, you ended up getting what arguably is 4 first-round picks anyway, and you only had 2 technically.
Right. No, right.
And I know that's playing loose with the truth here. I get it.
His movement in the last 2 drafts, like this year, they didn't get as much value as previous drafts with a first-round trade down, but still to get any value whatsoever and get the guy you always wanted, I think that is important. That is showing where he's really good. And I've said that before. In all the bad things I've said about Andrew Berry, the one good thing, I think they're just flat out better at some of that strategy stuff. And when we talk about, asset management, I think he's pretty good at it. I mean, when you read this Yahoo article that we started earlier in the show about how they have a proprietary, and every team has their own setup, okay? But the Browns' setup is that of like Wall Street analytics. And so for all the people want to make fun of that because it hasn't led to wins, I can tell you where it helps. It's on draft day, and after every draft pick, the way they're describing it, it's almost an extend technology setup where they have their big screens, and after every pick, it populates their database with all the different examples of trade down and trade up targets.
Yes.
It's an incredibly sophisticated system. And look, I'm sure they're not the only ones that have something like this, but you know damn well the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have anything remote. They are dealing in the Stone Ages, and what the Browns are doing is just so much further along. And I think that's important to note. And ask Pittsburgh fans how they feel about their drafts recently, and they feel about their football team. They're hanging on by a thread. If ever there's a team that should have maybe tore down and started over, probably should have been that Pittsburgh team. This Cleveland team is supposed to be on its way up, and these are the things I think they do have an advantage of over other teams in the NFL.
I'm feeling very good about things, and I understand they haven't kicked off a damn thing yet, but I just looked at this draft and go, man, this is really remarkable. I've never been in a situation where they've been I've had to defend their drafts before. I felt I needed to defend their drafts before. I'm a gullible person when it comes to our team. So, I'm going to hope that these guys end up being good. And there's a lot of times where the Browns have been throttled for their drafts in the past. And what's the reason for it? Well, they got new guys coming in who don't have a lot of experience coming into this. And I know that they've tried to do it where, you bump up Ray Farmer, you bump up a couple other guys. I know that that's happened before. But you've had guys that have not had a lot of experience. And if I can find in this draft, if this is a comparable draft to 2013 or arguably one of the worst drafts ever, when it comes to top-end talent, and I find 4 guys, possibly 5 with Parker Brailsford, where I find 5 guys that are quality starters. I'm not talking about don't have to be perennial all-pro, quality starters for this team, making my wide receiver room couldn't have been any worse. So I made my wide receiver room better. If I can find an anchor there on my offensive line with Spencer Fano, I mean, I'm sorry, guys, I'm laughing. Out of this draft.
So you brought up something earlier, and I think it's important. You said, hey, if you're drafting well, we know that's the lifeblood of NFL teams. You don't build teams through free agency, and there's only so much you can do via trade.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be the drafts. If anybody ever wondered why we've been bad since 1999, obviously quarterback is front and center. But overall, just drafting. The only reason they had a shot and the Baker thing, had us feeling optimistic is because, all of a sudden they had pieced together with those bad seasons. They had pieced together some draft capital and used it. And I remember, I'll never forget Daniel Jeremiah when he was making his way up and becoming the giant that he is today. I'll never forget, he was doing a podcast. Maybe it was an interview on the station. And someone was like, can you believe the Browns actually have good players? And this is like, 2018, 2019. He goes, yes, because they've been bad for so long and they've had so many draft picks. This is what you're supposed to be. Finally. And that's how I feel about this team now. Like, it's about time. You transitioned out of one team that you missed your window, and now it's time to start the build, and they've done that. It started last year. They're starting it now. It does look like Andrew Berry is finding some firmer fitting, but we all know without a quarterback, it still is going to be null and void. And I look to Minnesota. They haven't had good drafts, but yet somehow they've won double-digit games the amount of times that they have, and what did they do? They fired their GM. So why? Because they didn't get the quarterback right.
Nope.
And so that's a team that's been to the playoffs. That's a team that wins double-digit games. They just won 12 a few years ago.
I got to tell you guys,
they fired their GM. You can have all these great drafts you want. In the end, it's completely a moot point if they don't get quarterback.
I know what we've said about Andrew before and spearheading the whole thing when it comes to you-know-who, but if these guys end up being ball players for you and you end up winning a decent amount of football games this year, I know this is a strong thing to say. Maybe you do trust him more to go after that biggest position again and scout that up and find those guys. But then, of course, I don't know if I'm ready to say that because I got to go by what I'm going to see out there in the football field. But I want to have hope at the end of it because I don't like firing guys. I don't like it. I didn't like firing Kevin. I didn't like having to fire Hugh Jackson, which none of you people believe. But I didn't like firing it because it means what you've done has failed. What you've done has failed. And sometimes there's guys who have been around so long that maybe their course just runs, maybe everything just runs its course. But these guys, it means that they failed. I don't want to fire a guy I like in Andrew Berry. I don't want to have to fire a guy that I like someday in Todd Monken. I don't want that. I want them to be successful. I may be critical, but I want them to be successful. And these type of things, this type of draft makes me think, hey, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe we can make it through this, and this doesn't have to be an out-and-out disaster and just some lame duck situation for everybody involved. Coming up at 9:20 this morning, James Jones is going to join us, former Cavalier, three-time NBA champion, former NBA executive. But coming up in 5 minutes, Daniel Oyefusi. Is Taylon Green already on this 53-man roster? Is the QB room set in stone? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work. That app is free. Get it now.
Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Yeah, I think, coming out of the weekend, very pleased where we are going into May. And it really starts with giving a ton of credit to our scouting staff, our research analysts, our coaches, everyone who worked so hard over the past several months to put together the best plan possible going into the weekend, and then ultimately executing on it.
So I'll be accused of galaxy brain by some, and they still got to go out there and they got to be on the field and play, but there's so many that are lavishing praise on the Browns for their draft, and I thought, man, this was a tough draft to really get excited about. There was no top-end, star-studded type talent that people were going crazy over. And I'm thinking, man, in a draft like this that some people were calling not a strong draft, in the weakest draft since 2013, you go back to that 2013 draft and see what we did compared to this draft. Either they believe that their systems are the best, or I tell you, this is why you don't fire guys. This is why you try to stick it through with guys, because I think a guy who had less experience, a first-year guy, I don't know what he does with this draft. I don't think you come away with the praise that you've had for this draft here. I want to see if Daniel Yafusi agrees with me. Browns writer for ESPN. He's on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Daniel, hello.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
We're doing well. You heard what I just said. Is this draft as good as it is? Well, first off, did you think it was a good Browns draft?
I thought it was a great Browns draft. I think we all went into this draft knowing what the Browns needed to do. We knew that they needed to attack offense heavily, and they did that with 8 of the 10 draft picks being there. But it really wasn't just them focusing heavily on offense. It's the fact that they were able to get value throughout and really add an influx of youth and talent to those big positions of need. So, I mean, again, we've talked about it the past couple of days. Like, if you told Browns fans they were going to come away in their first 4 picks in the top 2 rounds with 4 guys who were heavily mocked to them in the first round, nobody would have believed you. That's kind of one of those PFF, ESPN draft simulator things that you just kind of mess around with and you get lucky. As assistant GM Catherine Hickman said, the draft is a bit of skill and luck, and I think that really came to fruition for the Browns over the weekend.
So you might agree with me that I thought, man, a first-year GM, had they had moved on from Andrew Berry this offseason, I don't think we're talking the same about this draft, about the Browns. And maybe we talked ourselves into a crazy mistake with one of the other players.
I mean, perhaps, it definitely helps that, Barry is, he's not a first-year GM. He's had, multiple years at this. Me personally, I think that some of the draft criticisms, the criticisms about Barry's draft history were a little bit overblown. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 years that he's had, his most draft capital in a while, and really since the Deshaun Watson trade, I don't think it's a coincidence that he's found great value. Now, we have to see what this 2026 draft class looks like on the field. But when you have more at-bats, when you have more picks, when you have more premium picks at the top of the draft, chances are you're going to be able to get more value. You're going to be able to get more highly rated players. And again, 2026, we'll see what happens this fall when they get on the field. But it's tough to get those higher-end players when your first pick is in the second and the third round. Like, it's just a lesser chance of getting guys who can contribute immediately and contribute at a high level.
All right, Daniel, we're learning more every year about how the Browns operate. It was legendary a few years ago about their guardrails, and they were widely mocked because they didn't lead to wins. But here we are, 2 drafts. Last year looked like they hit it out of the park, and this year it certainly seems like they are well on their way according to the projections. So with that said, the high-speed database that they're working with, and it looks like it's Wall Street in real time, giving them every advantage known to mankind. Do you feel like they do have a strategic advantage over some other teams in the NFL, say the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, for years, the Browns have been lauded as being one of the, I won't say lauded, but they've been noted as one of the really the most analytically inclined organization in the NFL. Obviously, we know about what Paul DePodesta did in terms of bridging the gap between the analytics and the on-field analysis and whatnot. But in years past, they were kind of mocked for it. And I think that maybe a little undeservingly so, because at the end of the day, like the analytics, maybe they were a little too leaning on the analytics. But there's nothing wrong with more information. You still have to make the right decisions based off the information presented to you. But, having measures in place that give you more information, like there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, the GM still has to pick the players, the right players. The coaches have to develop the players properly. They have to make the right play calls on game day. But, yeah, there's no doubt that having more information can help you and make you a more informed decision maker. But at the end of the day, you have to make the right decisions. And that was really what was the problem for the Browns over, in years past. They had all this information, but they were still coming to faulty results. And I think the process was rooted in the right mindset, but the decision making at the end of the day was not.
Daniel Fusi joining us here on the Make a Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. So what was your, if you didn't have one, forgive me, but what was your win total before the draft? What's your win total for the season after the draft? How much better did they get?
I think before the draft, I had them at, the win total right now is like 6.5. I think I had them at like 7 wins. And I've been saying all along, I think that there's a pathway to 8-9 wins contending for a wild card spot, but it's really dependent on, one, them really heavily attacking the draft and on the opposite side of the ball, which they did. And then you're also really kind of banking and trusting Todd Monken to get the most out of this quarterback situation, whomever starts. And yeah, I think I feel a little bit better about that, going over the win total right now. We'll see what the schedule looks like in a couple weeks. But, I feel a lot better about this offensive personnel, certainly than I did, a couple weeks ago. I'll say when we went out to voluntary veteran minicamp and we saw what they had on the field, that day, I felt a lot better a week later after the draft.
Were they never taking Carnell Tate?
If you read Jory Epstein's story, and I'm sure you guys did, she wrote a wonderful story inside the War Room on Round 1. It definitely leads you to believe that that really wasn't in their plan. And let me just kind of like also kind of add to the process and the decision making. Like the Browns, obviously they went through these different simulations and permutations and whatnot, and it was very clear that Andrew Berry wanted to target an offensive tackle with their first pick. If Spencer Fano was surprisingly taken off the board and, the first round, the top of the first round kind of went awry, maybe Berry would have been open to Carnell Tate. But it really seems like that wasn't their focus with the first pick, with their first round pick. Like they wanted to get an offensive lineman and then maybe maneuver around to get a wide receiver later on. They were impressed with Carnell Tate. I don't know that I still don't know to this day that he was the number one receiver on their board. I don't know where they had him on their big board. But it was very clear that they were not as, as captivated by the prospects of drafting him as maybe a lot of Browns faithful were.
Daniel Fusi joining us here on the show. So quarterback situation, you got a lot of weapons. Now you got some protection as well. I enjoyed the draft greatly. I want to ask you about Taylor Green here in a moment. But when it comes to these QBs, what's the sense you're picking up? I know it's early, but what's the sense you're picking up as who could be the leader in the clubhouse here once they get to training camp? Because Todd Monken had said he really wants to have his number one, or who he really thinks is going to be the number one, being the number one by the time training camp gets here.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm still a little bit skeptical on if that will definitely be the case, because I just think that deciding or really like kind of naming and moving forward with one guy getting all the first team reps in training camp without really seeing those guys in preseason, I don't know if that's really best for the team. Like, I think that you got to see both of these guys, and especially Deshaun, in a real game format before you make that decision. But regardless, besides that, I think that in phase 2, which, they're getting into, or phase 3, I should say, which they're getting into, where we're going to have OTA, I think that that's where we're going to see who maybe separates from the pack, and I guess, separates between Deshaun and Shedeur, because they're going to be consistently doing, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, and really, really getting consistent on-field practices. And it's really up in the air because, when we saw them at voluntary veteran minicamp the other week, that was like their first time really getting on the field and running any of these plays. It was a little sloppy here and there. They were kind of working things out. So I'm not leaving one practice and saying this guy's ahead of them, ahead of the other. When we get to OTAs and we're seeing them a little more consistently, and especially when we get to mandatory minicamp, I think that we'll really start to see who's grasping this offense a little bit better.
Daniel, they've said some very enticing things about Taylor Green. He's a 6th-round pick, but, man, he's got a lot of tools. Has he already made this 53-man roster?
I mean, I don't want to put his name in pen on the 53-man roster. But certainly, they drafted him with the idea that he is a developmental prospect, and they want to give him some time. Like, it might not be this year, maybe it's next year where you really get to see him and what he can do. But yeah, I mean, when you get that late in the draft, and a lot of people are saying like, why draft another quarterback? And it's like, well, if you draft a tight end in the 6th round, do you feel that much better? If you draft an off-ball linebacker in the 6th round, do you feel that much better? At that point, like they said, they're looking for athletic traits. They're looking for something that they can work with, mold, and develop. And obviously, a guy who had the best combine performance for a quarterback since 2003 certainly fits that bill.
So, Daniel, had Deshaun Watson never have had the surgeries, that he's already had since being a Cleveland Brown over the last 3+ years, on paper, I don't know how Shedeur would possibly stack up. Just the physical advantages that Deshaun had would make it notable, not to mention, obviously, we know he had played at a very high level, but now that's like 6 years ago. But you got a chance to see him, and granted, it wasn't against like big-time defense or anything. But what did you think of him athletically now that you've seen him on the field after all the surgeries?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you want to look at the mobility, kind of the fluidity of his movements. I thought he looked good. Like a lot of people were saying, you would have never really been able to tell that he had the Achilles surgeries. I agree. But practice is one thing. The games are another. He looked fine. He looked fine in training camp when I first got here, 2024. And then when he got into the games, you saw that he was just a little step behind when the bullets started flying. So practice is one thing. Practice is cool, but it goes back to the point of what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how you can make a decision on the starting quarterback, without seeing these guys, and especially seeing Deshaun in a real live game format where it's a completely different beast from the practice. Like, he's going to look fine in the practice because all these practices are doctored up, and they're set up to try to get some good work in. But I want to see you in a preseason game when you don't know what the defense is calling and they're throwing live bullets at you and things go awry, and then you got to move on that surgically repaired Achilles and make movements on the fly. Like, I want to see that then. Like, practice is fine. Like, you're going to look good in practice for the most part, but the games are a different thing, and that's really where it's been the issue for Deshaun.
How loud is the music really? I mean, do people need to move, or are they going to get more complaints from a lot of the homeowners?
I've never thought it's that loud, to be honest with you, Daniel.
I didn't think it was that loud either. And, I like when the music, I like when the music blaring. Like, if you see me out there, I got my head bobbing. I'm doing the dances and everything. So if the music loud, man, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
I got to tell you, I don't think, especially when the fans are there, I don't think they play, like, cussing versions. Like, I remember one time they left Fetty Wap play, and he was saying everything, and there were people going, uh-oh, like somebody didn't hit the edited version. Sometimes
the explicit version will kind of slip out, and they'll quickly make sure they get back to the clean version. It's not usually that loud. So I don't know.
Whose job is that? I want to know who has that job. There's a lot of jobs in an NFL building.
There is somebody on the staff whose job is control the music, control the aux, and I think that they got a little playlist beforehand. So sometimes sometimes you accidentally click on the explicit version when your parents and your family in the car, and you're like, oops, I got to change it. Like, it just happens like that.
You play your cards right, that'll be Mason Lima someday, being the slappy for this football team.
Put that on LinkedIn, Daniel. I'm applying. Let's go.
There we go. I hope we got some tunes, man.
Daniel, thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you again very soon. You take care.
Thank you. You guys take care, too.
Yeah, Daniel Yafusi on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Strong stuff.
I'll ask Mary Kay later in the week the exact same question.
Why wouldn't you? I've never thought it was that loud in all the years. And they usually try to hit a clean version on all the songs, especially like, I don't know if like on a Thursday during regular season, maybe some get a little bit in there. But
Kenny,
training camp?
I would get to these max stadiums, and I'm there early, and 2 hours before kickoff, boom, here's the music. The difference is it's not a lot of fans in the stands, so that music overwhelms, and I'm like, did they not have a clean version of this? Does the family start to get in here?
Usually they try to hit the clean on that one. All right, coming up at 9:20, James Jones going to join us on the show. And the Cavs are struggling against the Raptors, and Lima is paying the price for it, as he should. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan. You've been hurting.
and local at 5 a.m. It's the Fan Warm-Up Show with Jeff Thomas. All the latest from the night before in Cleveland sports and getting your day started even earlier. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
You're going to want to be here for a very special segment at 9:45, everybody. The sleuths have been sleuthing, and it turns out the guy who stole the home run ball from the little girl who ended up giving it back a few innings later after he got doxxed on the internet, this ain't his first rodeo, or home run ball, or bat for that matter. Speaking of, the Pirates posted a video of, who the hell was it? Brandon Lowe giving away a bat to a kid next to the dugout as he was going out to the on-deck circle yesterday in their loss to the St. Louis Cardinals. Go, boy, every kid was getting something fun at the ballpark. You had to publicly shame somebody into doing it. But
traumatizing experiences.
Yeah, but you know what? That scar tissue that you build, it'll come in handy over time. It's a good life experience.
For who? The kid or for the grown man who fought her for the baseball?
Life isn't fair, and she learned that for about 3 innings.
Every time she looks at the trophy ball on the mantle, she'll go, "Oh, I wrestled an adult male for this."
And held my own, by the way.
Oh, she has a story to tell for the rest of her life. She has a story to tell for the rest of her life. She's going to tell her grandkids that someday.
My goodness.
She's going to tell her grandkids that someday. I mean, seriously.
Stampeding
she got a baseball,
bull came at
and then
her.
the guy got doxxed on the internet, so now he had to give her, what I think is her brother, a baseball, courtesy of the picture. I saw that from Ryan Bass, the sideline reporter for the Rays TV network.
My young shore gals wrestling program always looking for the wave of the future if she wants to come up.
I thought
9:45.
I thought this young lady showed some good sprawl technique.
9:45.
Down blocking was great. Yeah, all of it.
You guys are not going to believe what you hear coming up at 9:45 this morning
was
about
coming
this.
at her.
James Jones. Wait a minute. It's Vader, okay? Don't give him Vince McMahon's name. It's Big Van Vader, okay?
He'll always be Earthquake to me, never Shark.
Yes. The dumbest thing ever. Poor Vader. R.I.P. comes out. Now, the mask he wore was awesome, but I thought that was already something he wore in Japan. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm way off the... R.I.P. Vader, okay? Sorry. Cavs are struggling right now against the Raptors.
I like this segment.
And I didn't get to hear this because I was listening to Pony fake retire yesterday.
Yeah, I feel bad. I got all caught up in the Pony and radio stuff.
I'm taking Nick's side on this. You need to have some comeuppance over here because you were calling. I stopped short of calling people nasty words. You were calling people nasty words. It's a 2-2 series now. People are freaking out. I'm getting wild texts about people who put money on this basketball team, and they are very concerned right now.
Oh boy.
But here's our good buddy Nick Wilson taking aim at Lima. And you know what? Usually I just sit back and let Lima fire back, but I think I got to agree with Nick on this one.
Anthony Lima, come out and play.
Oh, easy now. Easy now.
What a cowardly performance.
Now.
Listen, the Cavs lost a game yesterday.
You seem like you're liking this a little bit too much now.
It stunk. No. What I'm
You're not
loving,
beating the charges of rooting against the Cavs when this is the open.
No. What I'm loving is that about 5 minutes into his act of contrition, he had to try and put it on Nick Wilson. He had to try and put it on Ken Carman. But he could not beat the charges because he is a weak-ass basketball knower.
Okay.
He's a weak-ass Cavs fan, and real Cavs fans have been fair and honest about this team forever. There was no part of yesterday's loss that I enjoyed. And by the way, I'm not counting the Cavs out. They're like plus 455 to still win the damn series.
They're minus 9.5. They're going to have 9.5 points for Game 5.
Kenny Atkinson.
They're going to win the series.
Kenny Atkinson just might be right. That maybe, and I will include myself in this, that I got a little fat and cocky at 2-0 when I guaranteed the sweep. You knew what today's just day was going to be. When Lima didn't tweet about the Cavs effort, he didn't about physicality. Are we allowed to talk about that again? No. He had to send some tweets my way to try and incite me, because that's all he's got. Okay. Some ball knower indeed.
Ooh, that was good stuff.
You know what, Nick?
You don't know ball.
Who's the ball knower now?
That is on me.
Who is the ball knower now?
That was an ass kicking that I deserved. It 100% is. Nick, he has been questioning the
Said you're
entire
a fake Cavs
time.
fan. He basically called you a fake Cavs fan.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I got the pass. I'm going to be able to go Wednesday night.
Oh, just because you go to the game doesn't mean you're a real Cavs fan.
To see what could be Donovan Mitchell's last home game in Cleveland.
Well, you keep saying that. You got to stop saying that.
They reverted back, and this is what I tried to suppress.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that given the landscape, given how much Donovan Mitchell had talked about how this was a different group, this was the most optimistic he's ever been. The confidence they had over Toronto before the series started. Don't think I haven't been talking to some people that are very close to the team, and the stuff that I was hearing was almost borderline overconfident. And that it would have been that way against, perhaps remember when we thought we would be going up against another team. Like, they were very, very confident regardless. They were not worried about Toronto. And then they were up 2-0, and I don't think it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sitting here going, oh, this has been a joke. I was like, all right, maybe Toronto wins game 3 because that's what happens in the NBA in a lot of series, although Oklahoma City got their sweep done last night. The Lakers could not pull it off. They lost, one of the games in the series when they were up 3-0. But I expected them to have some difficulties. It's a team with like 10 6'8" guys, which you would say would be probably the Cavs' kryptonite. And we ran into sustained issues in Game 4. I was very disappointed. I was disappointed.
You should be.
I was disappointed at halftime.
Disappointing game
of Game 3. I thought that they were going to be able to make some adjustments, and instead they went the other way. And they played into exactly what Nick had warned everybody. Like, we were waiting to see if this team had another gear, if their playoff experience between Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. Say what you want about Harden and the later in a series it goes, his struggles. One thing Harden's been really good at is early in series. And one thing that Donovan Mitchell's been really good about, first series. He has been a dominant all-time player. And Toronto took that away from both those guys the last 2 games. So Nick was right. I was wrong. I'm with Nick. Like, they're 9.5-point favorites on Wednesday. I don't know that I'd feel confident enough to bet on the Cavs.
Well, laying 9.5 is a bit much, but to win the game, I think you feel better.
How many points in the first quarter?
17.
Oh, my God.
They were up 17-14.
Yeah. They followed that up with 19.
Judas Priest, like a MAC game.
Better.
Now,
like a MAC Tuesday night football game.
Now, here's the thing. I know, and rightfully so, everybody is down on the prospects, even if they get by this series. But then again, I watched last night like a hawk, Orlando and Detroit, and I'm like, we will be favored in that series if we get by Toronto. That is a fact. We will be favored.
Well,
and look, Vegas has been wrong on the Cavs a lot this year. They have lost a lot of people a lot of money. But you do see at times teams do come together the longer they go through a playoff stretch. And sometimes it takes them getting knocked in the mouth. But if I see James Harden throwing some of those passes, the lackadaisical stuff, and if I see Donovan Mitchell deferring in some moments and his inability to elevate around the rim, which is what I saw the last 2 games of Toronto, yeah, I'm going to be worried.
Does it give you any pause for your sport, that one of these 4 teams, the Cavs, the Raptors, the Magic, the Pistons, are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals? One of them is.
One of those teams
will be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's not going to
make all 4 of them don't look great right now.
That's not going to, and Boston didn't look good until this last game in their series. So against Philadelphia, who tried to bring back Joel Embiid halfway through the series, and it wrecked any of the good stuff they were doing. So that's not going to make anybody feel any better. It's up to the Cavs. You want to talk about pressure? The pressure on Donovan Mitchell in this game, because he's become, it's him and Mobley both, it's become the national conversation. Harden, people are used to it. There's like nothing new there when it comes to Harden and turnovers and playing sloppy, even though Harden was not one of my top culprits in that game. But the pressure is on both Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley in this game. And look, Toronto has to prove they can win on the road in this series. They've still got a very young team. I'd like to see some adjustments, like what's the point of picking up Scotty Barnes full court when that just gives him a full head of speed and he gets by you, and then it was like the partying of the seas in the fourth quarter. And I'd like to see, guys like Max Strus continue on with Sam Merrill, who I do think is still banged up with the wrist. I'd like to see some of the shooters actually at home be able to do things, because they look scared during moments of that game. and really all weekend in Toronto. And that is not the mark of a contending championship team.
Travis Bazzana is on his way up. By the way, the Every Cavs conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea, who ask you to please enjoy that Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly. 21 and older, please. Coming up at 9:45, the guy who stole the baseball from the little girl in the bleachers last night, this is not his first rodeo or baseball for that matter. The internet sleuths are sleuthing. More on that coming up at 9:45. It's a packed hour. We got James Jones, former Cavalier, former NBA executive. He's going to join us at 9:22 this morning. And if the owner and the general manager say that's good for us, maybe Tennessee did us a favor by taking Carnell Tate. Saved us from a really awkward conversation. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that absolutely free Odyssey app. Download it now. It's absolutely free, guys, and you can hit the leave a message button and leave us a message within 30 seconds. It's absolutely
and Mitchell moving forward together. I think they are better built as a playoff team now than when Darius was playing alongside Donovan Mitchell as opposed to James Harden. But is Harden the answer?
Baskin and Phelps, weekday mornings starting at 10. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Again, another chance to be a big winner. Enter the code word SKATE, S-K-A-T-E, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. Your chance to win a pair of tickets to the R&B Tour starring Usher Raymond and Chris Brown, July 7th, Huntington Bank Field. Tickets on sale now, Ticketmaster.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Hell yeah, ain't you going?
I will be going. It's going to be a big night out. I'm already in the whole.
It's a birthday for the wife.
I'm already in the whole lot. And, we've got dinner reservations.
This is a big deal for you.
If Usher throws something into the crowd.
Oh, man.
That's the one thing about my Pennsylvania trip I didn't like, because I didn't bring a change of clothes. And I was like, I wanted to bring a change of clothes because on the way back, I wanted to stop at a restaurant. We couldn't. We just had to, eat on the road, and I hate eating in a car in the first place. Because I was soaked. I'm like, I'm not spending any more minutes in the state. I'm getting home.
It's also how you get trench foot.
But I saw exactly the rot. You don't want to get the foot rot. I saw a sign that said I was close to a Haas's Steakhouse. And Haas's Steakhouse in Pennsylvania are legendary. Now, they're not like Nice Steakhouse, which, by the way, also has an all-you-can-eat salmon buffet. We've decided to include that at Nice Steakhouse with the rooftop bar.
This is a big addition.
Only open when the weather's bad. So if the weather's too nice outside, I'm sorry, I'm closing the rooftop. However,
and they will not peel off that gross skin part on the bottom. You got to do it. That's
you have to do it. That's you. If I'm giving you a buffet of salmon, you're gonna peel off the skin at the bottom. But I saw a thing for Haas's. I was like, I could have finally eaten at a Haas's because I've had King's. King's is great. They had a roast beef sandwich back in the day. Oh, my God. It was excellent. There was one right across the street from the hotel. Unpaid testimonial, guys. If you get a chance to eat at King's over there in Pennsylvania, you eat the King's, brother. It's good stuff. Anywho, Travis Bazzana, I'm going to get to the Browns here in a second. Travis Bazzana is up. He wasn't batting leadoff for Columbus. Immediately people are like, well, we can end the Stephen Kwan silliness. I'm like, well, he wasn't batting leadoff in Columbus. I think he was always batting second, wasn't he? So if he was always batting second, unless we just feel willy-nilly he can be a leadoff hitter for us, middle infielder, maybe you feel he can be that guy, maybe that's it. But I think he was batting, if I'm not mistaken, he did the majority. I could be wrong. I would have to check with Justin Latta, but I'm imagining that he is not really a classic.
We'll just go to old box scores.
Yeah, go to old box scores if you can. I don't think he batted leadoff a bunch. I think he was primarily a number 2 hitter in that lineup down in Columbus. So if you want to switch Stephen Kwan out, I don't know who you switch Stephen Kwan out. I don't think Brian Rocchio is going anywhere. I think he's very happy in that 9-hole. I think that they're very happy with him in that 9-hole.
Schneemann?
You could bop around Schneemann if you want to.
He's a bop around kind of guy.
I mean, he is a utility player. He's our version of Jose Oquendo.
It kind of feels like he needs to play every day.
Okay. So you could do that, but you could figure something out because this is a pretty big matzo ball hanging out there, man. This is not good. I mean, it was a bad second half of the season. It's a bad start to the season for Stephen Kwan. I read the thing about bat speed earlier this morning from some of the fans. I don't know, Tone. He's got to get it going. Because I can chalk it up just like Stephen Vogt did last night and say, yeah, it's been a bad month, not a great month, rough month for Stephen Kwan. I think a lot of people are wondering differently, especially because, we talked about whether or not you should trade him, whether or not you should sign him long term, what to do with the guy. And if you keep it up like this, definitely. But you're not going to get that much in return for him if that's the case. You got something over there for me?
So just looking at some old box scores, they had him in the 2-hole a lot. Or 3-hole with Valera in front of him. They, of course, have Petey Halpin leading off there, who's just a speedster, and they brought him up last September.
Mm-hmm.
He stole a bunch of bases for them. So,
so they're not...
I don't know if they need him when you got a speed guy up top like that. I don't know if he's... Well, he's got something to be in the top 3. So,
and I'll say this: I want us to be patient with him. I know that people have paid close attention to Connor Griffin. People have paid close attention to Nick Kurtz, Charlie Condon. I think Chase Burns with the Reds in that draft class. Out of the big names, he's later to come up than some of the other ones, but that doesn't mean that all of a sudden he's not going to be a household name for this team. But I think that there were some strong things written last season or the last couple of years that would lead some people to believe that they would be skeptical. Let's give him some time to get his feet wet and get going here. That's where I'm going to leave that.
Earlier than expected. I mean, I did not have April. Nice. I mean, it's late April, but I thought this was something that was going to be, maybe June.
June, July, yeah.
James Jones going to join us coming up at 9:22 this morning. Former Cavalier, 3-time NBA champion, former NBA executive. Is this already a failure for the Cavs or just a tougher series than we all realize taking on the Toronto Raptors? But you uncovered a Jory Epstein Yahoo Sports article that we've been discussing here this morning. See, I was team Carnell Tate at number 6. And it seemed that this whole room was all like, hey, we'll take Carnell Tate at number 6. Carnell Tate wasn't available at number 6. And when I read the article from Jory Epstein from Yahoo Report, and it says that where she had inside access, and the owner and the general manager, the JW had asked Andrew Berry, that helps us, right?
Once Tate got taken by the Titans.
Yes, once Carnell Tate got taken by the Titans, that helps us.
So
and Andrew Berry said yes.
Yeah, so you wouldn't say that if that was the guy you wanted.
And
you would never say that.
We asked Daniel Yafusi about it. He agreed. If that's the guy you wanted, you're not sitting there saying that helps us. And it made me think, oh, God, they really helped us. They, as a fan, as a radio guy, because to me, it turns into an offensive player. Like Phil Taylor's career was shortened. Phil Taylor was not a bust. He was just a defensive tackle. And he wasn't a wide receiver. He wasn't Julio Jones. I mean, Julio Jones is a Hall of Fame class wide receiver, for crying out loud. Phil Taylor was a good player. He just had his career shortened by injury. I didn't want Spencer Fano to become the offensive version of, because I thought as we got closer to the draft, I'm hearing about Caden Proctor and Monroe Freeling. There was a little bit about Spencer Fano, especially day of, like afternoon before the draft. There was more Spencer Fano getting brought up. And I didn't want Carnell Tate to be the Julio Jones to whoever they took. Like, I started to think that they were just not going to take Carnell Tate at number 6, even though I wanted them to take it at number 6. And I still worried about the pitfalls of not taking a guy who I feel is going to still be a surefire, solid wide receiver for you, and then maybe taking a guy who could be a project. Like, to me, Caden Proctor at number 6 would have been a total crazy project that, even though I like his athleticism, I think he could be a very good player. At number 6, it just seemed to be ridiculous.
Then after what Nick Saban said about him, can you imagine that being thrown in our faces?
It seemed to be wild. But you have this guy that now Spencer Fano at number 9, I ain't got to worry about anything. The orange dot you brought up in the story, I just don't think, like, he may not be Anthony Munoz. It's hard to be. I mean, he might not be Joe. It's hard to be.
There's no doubt in the way they talk about him that they feel like he has a way higher ceiling than even the analysts that all like the pick. The one rap was, hey, high floor but low ceiling. But not the way that they looked at him.
I got the best of both worlds here. I got a fine young man who I think is going to be a solid player for me for hopefully the next decade, unless something bad happens.
How awesome would that be?
I don't think there's any chance this guy has of being a bust. I think he's going to work too hard. He may not be a Hall of Famer, but he's definitely going to raise the floor, and I think he's going to be a good football player for you. He's going to be a good football player for a long time, and I don't have to have these crazy discussions watching the box scores and watching Tennessee Titans games and watching Carnell Tate and everybody arguing about what could have been. It's like, hey, because there were Jordan Tyson, I could sit there and go, hey, there was injury questions. There were questions about what's he going to be sturdy enough out of the combine. Like, I can explain Jordan Tyson. Carnell Tate would have been right there, except he wasn't. He was taken at number 4, and I'm like, man, this is perfect.
Irrelevant now.
This is perfect. I get this great player. He's going to be a solid, good player for me for a long time, and I don't have to have any of these conversations about Carnell Tate, and I don't have to sit there and watch wistfully about Carnell Tate either. I can wish him luck. I hope that we play the Titans in the playoffs someday. Then I don't want to wish him luck. But until then, I can wish him luck, wish him the best, and say, hopefully you have a good career down there in Tennessee. And I ain't got to worry about any of it. And then we came away with Casey Concepcion, which, yes, does have a couple of red checks next to him just because of questions about hands and things like that, which a lot of people have good explanations why it might look that way. Denzel Boston. Same thing, good, solid receiver, bigger body, 6'4". Like, I came away with a good draft out of this, and I'm happy because of how it fell for us.
Look, we don't get to say this often, and even when I've tried to say it, I've then been proven incorrect, like not that far after. But isn't it nice to have everybody dumping on the Pittsburgh Steelers and having their humiliation broadcast for the world to see while the Browns universally lauded? And I get it. It's the draft. Maybe the Browns, maybe everybody was wrong and the Browns don't get it right, and then Steeler fans can come back and laugh and laugh and laugh. I just don't feel like that's going to be the case this time. And come on, Kenny, this isn't you talking. This is me talking.
No, that's different.
This had to be particularly embarrassing for the Steelers to broadcast for the world to see that the guy they wanted, they didn't end up getting, and they had to go to the backup option.
It's quite different.
And the Browns didn't. And the Browns actually got more value and got to go with the guy they wanted all along.
Coming up in 5 minutes, James Jones is going to join us, 3-time NBA champion, former NBA executive. By the way, the 2-minute report is out, and it seems the officials botched the entire end of Sunday's game. I want to ask James Jones about that because he's one of the people. Isn't he in charge?
Yeah, well, he hands out the fines, it looks like.
Hands out the fines. So we'll find out about how he hands out some fines. And, obviously, the Cavaliers' chances against the Toronto Raptors, which is now a series heading into tomorrow night at Rocket Arena. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, James Jones, former Cav, and the sleuths are sleuthing on the guy that took the baseball away from the little girl. More on that at 9:45 on The Fan. If you are stuck in your garage or you're locked out of your garage because that garage door got stuck, you got to give a call to American Platinum Door and Gate. Friends, Ken Carman here for American Platinum Door and Gate. apdoorandgate.com.
Nuggets avoid elimination. Jamal Murray added 24 points, but Denver still trails 3-2. Don't miss this week's episode of 92.3 The Fan's offseason special. Get the latest on the Browns tonight from 7 to 9. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Cavaliers-Raptors series deadlocked 2 apiece. Action resumes tomorrow night, 7:30, right here in Cleveland. They are big favorites, even though you wouldn't know that by talking to any of the fans who have lost some of their optimism. To talk about that and so much more is somebody that's been essentially at every level. Somebody who's been around the game a long time. James Jones, NBA champ, former Cav, and league executive. And I think it's great to bring you on. How are you, James? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm fantastic. Actually doing really, really well and excited about the playoff basketball that's happening right now.
Well, I'm loving it. I mean, there was an NFL draft this weekend we were paying attention to, but I was pretty dialed into just about every single NBA playoff game. And some common themes emerged, and I think it's great to have you on as head of the basketball operations because you are really in tune to all of this stuff. So we did have some news last night that the 2-minute came out. The report came out, 7 missed calls in the final 2 minutes of that Cavs-Raptors Game 4 up in Toronto. And normally, hey, it happens. You miss calls. I do think the best officials in the world are doing NBA playoff games. The problem is the Cavs had 2 challenges that were successful earlier in the game, and that's it. They don't get to challenge anymore, and they certainly had their fair share that they could have in the final 5 minutes of the game. You had such a close game. So, James, does the NBA need to re-examine this? I know we don't want to be mired in nonstop stoppages. I hate that. I'm sure you hate that. The fans hate it. But it is the playoffs, and the Cavs, by no fault of their own other than they challenged some bad calls earlier in the game, they were not able to do so again.
Right. I think that's the one thing that since I've been on this side with the league office that I've come to appreciate and understand is that the league's always constantly revisiting and looking at these things. And so even when we talk about the challenge rules, those things were 5 or 6 years in the making before they actually got here. And there have been multiple iterations. So as far as looking at it, it's all about striking the right balance of game flow and getting the calls right. But no doubt, we look at all those things, and history informs our future decisions. And if we see trends and things that really are, I want to say, black holes for the game, we usually try to figure those out. But for sure, I think the playoffs are so difficult. The plays have such high impact. You always want to get it right. Sometimes the referees get it wrong, but you just hope they get it right more often than not.
James Jones joining us on the show. Can I just mention something as a fan? When my team loses, I'd rather just not see the 2-minute report, because then if I see the 2-minute report, I get madder.
Yeah, I get it. It's one of those things where, if you win, you're happy. If you lose, you're looking at this game of possessions and wondering whether or not that was the difference in the game. And I would say most of the times it's not, but sometimes it is.
So one of the interesting trends that emerges every time this time of year is how different the NBA playoffs are compared to the regular season. And that's why we talk about so many players that are playoff risers, players that can deal with physicality. Certainly it looks like they officiate the game differently. I see a lot more hand checks, impeding progress of drivers that's permitted in the postseason. Now, I've always liked that. I've heard more and more some people may not like it because the game is so completely different. Look at the scores. Look at that first quarter of the Raptors and the Cavs. Cavs have been a great offensive team all year, and scoring under 20, in many of the quarters, and same thing for Toronto. Do you think this is something that needs to be looked at? And how do you, as someone who's played in big games and in championship moments, why are the playoffs so different?
Well, I'll start by saying they're fundamentally different because you win or you go home. Through the course of a regular 82-game season, you're looking at your entire 15-man roster and you're thinking about how do you get from game to game. Whereas in the playoffs, one game, if you go up 1-0, the odds say that you win that series more often than not. And so players, they leave it all out there, nothing left in the tank for the next game. Rotations shrink. And then the players that are on the floor are the best of the best. You're not talking about a lot of rookies. You're not talking about the 12th or 13th man. You're talking about your top 8, top 7, top 8, top 9 guys playing at a high level for a longer period of time. And so the physicality picks up because the players pick up the physicality, not because we changed the rules.
James Jones joining us here on the show. So what are some of the things that you hear about the league that you go, no, that's not right. That's just guys making things up for show fodder that kind of bother you when it comes to overall criticism of the NBA?
I think one of them is that, like, the league has an agenda and the league has favorites and teams and players that they prefer to see. I mean, it's truly, our focus is the game, trying to make it balanced, trying to make it competitive, and trying to continue this fluidity of competition, as I call it, where every night, whichever team's out there playing the hardest, whichever teams are out there competing, they have a shot at winning and climbing up the rankings. And so if you look at what happened this year, I think in the Eastern Conference, we've had 6 different number 1 seeds over the last 6 years. It shows some fluidity, flexibility, and mobility across the standings. And going into the end of the season, 19 of our 20 seeds were still up in the air. 5 games left in the season, so 5 days left in the season. So the league, in general, we just want to see teams out there competing, and every fan base, every player, every team knowing that they legitimately have a shot at winning. So we don't play favorites. We just love to make sure that the game is balanced.
Yeah, James Jones with us from the NBA League office. The biggest complaint I hear, and I try to defend the NBA around every turn, but it's hard to, is making the regular seasons matter again. In fact, those teams you were on, and especially the Miami Heat teams, everybody was dialed into those games. They led SportsCenter every day. I know that was a different era, but the regular season did seem to matter. Do we need to go back and think about how we do the playoffs to incentivize the regular season, maybe make home court advantage mean more? These teams don't seem to care about seeds anymore, and because of that, you're going to get teams resting more players.
Well, I think that's kind of inaccurate. The regular season, the reason people tend sometimes to say the regular season doesn't matter is because we've gotten to a place where the narratives outside of sport, outside of our game, is championship or bust, right? And so if you're not winning the championship, why does it matter? It doesn't matter if you're the 6 seed, 7 seed, 8 seed, 5 seed, 1 seed. It doesn't really matter. Let's just skip to the playoffs. Let's skip to the finals. The reality is that's where the growth lies, and that's where the excitement grows, where teams build. But I will say the competitive balance of our league makes it kind of dicey for teams. If you're competing right now, if you're the number 1 seed, the number 8 seed is not that far off, whereas in the past it was. And so you can create these dynasties, you can create these storylines of dominance. But dominance now in our league is fleeting. You can't just expect because you have the best players or the top stars that you'll be able to walk through the league, because teams are playing deeper and the games are faster paced and more dynamic. And so it's one of those things where the players, they go out there and they play, and they play really, really hard, and they compete and they lose. And fan bases don't like losing. And a lot of times when you see this parity, it gets people thinking that, oh, well, it doesn't really matter for the players. Well, it does. It's just that they're getting beat sometimes, even when they're trying their best.
And I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing, and we'll get to this series in a second, because I do think it's been entertaining, even it's been a hard watch at times. My heart was pumping in the final 2 minutes of that last game. The tanking situation. So you guys flatten the odds. You've tinkered with it over the years, but it seems like it's only incentivized more tanking from more teams. Is it the easiest solution just to go back to the old model and go back to the old odds?
No. The one thing I'll say about our gang, our fans, our front offices, and everyone involved, they all want to win. Selfishly, they think about their best interest, their individual selfish best interest, and that leads to some crazy behavior. Look, tanking, as far as the integrity of the game, the sport in general, it's just terrible. I think Adam said multiple times it's corrosive, and we know that, and so we'll solve it and we'll fix it. The reality is that the teams that aren't winning are looking to try to get the best talent by any means necessary. And sometimes they'll do things that are counter to the best interest of the game, and we can't allow that to happen. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the fans. It's about the competition. People come out there hoping and expecting to see teams lay it on the line and try to win every game. And we'll get back to that, and we'll make sure that the behavior that we saw and the incentives that were there no longer exist. And I think we'll get back to the purity of the game, which is what everyone loves around this time of the year.
James Jones joining us, former champion. Well, you're always a champion once you're a champion. A three-time NBA champion, former team executive, current executive VP of basketball operations for the NBA. And what would be your plan to curb tanking or to stop tanking altogether?
Well, we'll. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, we have something that we're working on, and we'll solve it in short order. But I'll say it's just more than anything, reminding people that our game is about competition, and it's about trying to compete and trying to win every night. Careers are short for players, coaches, and everyone involved. For fan bases, seasons come and they go. You never get a game back. And as long as we can continue to put that at the forefront, I think we'll get to solutions that get us to thinking about and talking about the game of basketball and not about the tactics to not win and compete in basketball games. And so I'm very confident between, the front office, the front offices, the NBA leadership, and our governors that will come up with a solution that solves this thing for good.
Well, you have to worry about any tanking in the postseason, and we've seen the Raptors now win 2 in a row up north. They come back to Cleveland, and this series is deadlocked. There's still the Cavs big favorites to win this series. What have you seen out of this Cavs team and maybe some of the offensive struggles that have emerged throughout the last 2 games?
I'll just say the possession game. Turnovers in the playoffs, turnovers you can't recover from them. Possessions are so valuable, and momentum is a real thing. I just think, the home teams, both home teams have held serve at home, and that's because they've been doing a good job of getting the shots that they want and protecting the ball. Your best players have to play well. They have to score. They have to be efficient in the playoffs. And in the last 2 games, the Cavs have struggled with that. But, like I said before, looking at these series, and I think across the NBA, with the exception of a couple upper seeds losing home games, it's been pretty balanced. The team that wins the turnover battle typically wins the games.
Does this job, being in this role, does it make you more of a basketball fan or less of a basketball fan? Do I have to explain myself further, or do you get what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I mean, it's refreshing to be in this role. It makes me more of a basketball fan because, rather than looking at games on an individual basis and looking at teams as my opposition, I'm looking at teams collectively as they're basically my teams. And so I'm having a greater appreciation for the diversity of coaching staffs and coaching styles, a greater appreciation for the players, from veterans to rookies who aren't even playing, because that map of these teams is what drives our future game. So I love where I am, and I love the ability to see and help all these teams compete, because at the end of the day, that's what makes the NBA great.
Obviously, the players are making so much more money every year, it seems like. But do you ever feel bad assessing a fine? Is there ever a time where you have to get a text from a player and like, really? All I did was critique the officials?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I tell people, that's my job, but it's not something I relish. You never want to be someone that is punishing or, admonishing or reprimanding or whatever you want to call it for behavior. At the end of the day, it's about getting out of the way, eliminating friction and distractions. And so my hope is that I can continue to be in this job and just make sure that these things that I deal with aren't things that we deal with, because no one wants to see a fine. No one wants to hear that stuff. We just want to see good basketball. You want to see your teams win and compete and have fun. And so I'm tasked with doing the unfavorable stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just hopefully to eliminate these distractions.
James Jones with us. What were you thinking on Friday night when you saw LeBron James first throwing an alley-oop to his son in an actual NBA playoff game, and the fact that he put up those types of LeBron vintage numbers, scoring over 30 and doing it all?
I mean, if you had asked me that years ago, I'd have said it was a CGI event, computer generated. But it's just a testament to his durability and commitment to the game. And, it's special when you see that stuff. I've always said with him, I've always been, amazed but never surprised. But that one surprised me, because you never think that moment will actually come where he gets a chance to do that with Bronny. So pretty cool moment for him, and pretty cool moment for the NBA as a whole. It just shows that, this game connects us as fans, but also as family.
James Jones on the show with us. Who's the greatest player of all time? Are you allowed to answer that question?
No, I don't. I never get into that. I leave that for non-basketball people. As far as basketball players, I would say, like, for me, it's I've had a chance to play with one of the greatest ever and some of the greatest Hall of Famers of all time, Reggie Miller on down, Ray Allen. I have a ton of respect for those guys. I would never choose.
See, he got to play with evil LeBron when he was kind of doing that.
Yeah, mean LeBron.
Yeah, mean LeBron for a couple of years, and then things have kind of changed.
I didn't like that LeBron. That was not a fun LeBron.
Now, what'd you think of that LeBron?
I mean, that LeBron down in Miami was pretty good with me. So, I mean, I loved everything about it.
James, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Hopefully we talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Three-time NBA champ, former Cav, current NBA executive with the NBA. He is the executive VP of basketball operations for the NBA. James Jones on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline.
I mean, he is so confident that they have a solution to tanking.
I hope so.
And I'm sorry, any of the stuff that's been leaked out, I don't know if it was a trial balloon or whatever, none of it made any sense to me. It was all convoluted. And I just think this is an easy fix. Just go back to the old odds. Where, yes, the worst teams would tank, the very bottom. But right now you have teams tanking all over the map. And especially this was a once-in-a-lifetime draft, even though we know it's probably not going to be that case. But that's how it was being touted.
Well, next year's draft is going to be not good. I know that this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime draft, but next year's draft is not going to be that good, so maybe that will change it. But I agree with you. You need the way they have those three ways that they've boiled it down to. You need something less convoluted. I mean, you can't follow it.
They were
the regular
like, well,
fan
2
cannot
out of
follow
4
it.
years, you can't be in a top 5, and the distribution of the percentages.
You have to be a ball-knowing NBA first fan, basketball fan first, to understand what their calculations are. If you're just a casual basketball fan, there's no way on earth you'll care or understand it. Not a chance. I mean, I had to read the article like 4 times to understand exactly what they were talking about before I got it. And then I forgot it. So now I have to read it again 4 times.
By the way, so last night there was a home run ball knower.
Yes.
Apparently that our sleuths have done more research on.
Yes, the internet sleuths have been sleuthing about the guy who stole the home run ball from the little girl, and it turns out that this ain't his first rodeo or home run ball. Or bat, for that matter. What are you laughing about?
Or the trampoline of wife and kids.
That, too. Thought you were making fun of my voice cracking.
No. He had a shooting star press in a game 3 years ago.
Let this be a lesson, everybody. Excuse me. Let this be a lesson to grown men out there. There's no good that can come from you getting a regular season home run ball unless it's a record ball. Don't do it. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and a PSA for every grown man out there in Cleveland. Next on The Fan.
you purchase the policy. Potential savings may vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
All day long.
All day.
All the time.
At work.
923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the internet did what the internet does, and they've done some sleuthing. We are not sharing the man's name.
Don't give the internet credit for this.
Well, this was.
Well, you said the sleuths were sleuthing. I just assumed that the sleuths were sleuthing the other sleuths.
And Owen's crack staff that are working tirelessly behind the scenes.
So I didn't play a bunch. You told me the sleuths were sleuthing. So Owen did some research. We have updates on the man who stole the baseball from the little girl last night.
His name, his location, his business. I won't do that.
Okay, I don't want you to. Thank God. He did give the ball back to the girl later on.
And to that, we did. We gave him a round.
I'm not going to clap. He just did the right thing. I'm not going to clap it. If he would have just handed the ball, had he caught the ball and handed the ball to the little girl, then you could clap.
He has a history of not catching the ball.
Well, this is the thing that we need to go to Owen for.
We have quite the highlight reel.
So
I thought I went to a ton of games, guys.
Real quick, last night, bottom of the fifth inning, Daniel Schneemann hits a home run. It goes to the home run porch, the bleachers, right at the beginning of the bleachers. A man with a beard who kind of looks like a Hunter Gaddis lookalike. He reaches to get the ball. The ball bounces off what looks like the palms of his hands, bounces about 10 feet to the left. A little girl who happened to be sitting there reaches forward. She grabs the ball. The guy runs over there, rips the ball out of her hands, and is showing off his triumphant trophy to everybody around him, and then sits back down. A Rays television sideline reporter. I don't know how much audio you have. Do I need to
we're not doing all that. We already did that.
Rays sideline reporter. He takes the baseball over to the little girl. It's a nice moment for the little girl. Later on, we see a Facebook post that the guy who was being doxxed on the internet took the baseball and gave it to the little girl in a effort to make this better. Which he did.
After I'm sure he was texted 1 bazillion times. That, hey, dude, this is happening.
So, what else do you have over there?
Well, so as I was trolling around the internet, which you can do yourself if you'd like to, but throughout my time on the internet, I found that, maybe this isn't the first time that this man has had the opportunity to catch a home run ball. So started checking some dates, and I went back to last July, and I heard this courtesy of Guardians TV.
Langoliers hits that one on the nose. It is off the top of the wall. Jones barehands it. Good throw into second. Langoliers would have probably been out, but Wilson unable to hold on to it, and it's a double for Shea Langoliers.
They're going to check, and he's going to ask him to see if it was a home run.
Arch, you got it. It's off the rail. You're right, Arch.
That was off the top railing.
And it was an Oakland fan right there that could have caught it. And the one fan went for the catch. He missed it, and it clearly hit above the yellow line.
Now, that might be confusing because he said it was an Oakland fan, but it wasn't. It was the same guy, and he is an Oakland fan. He has a tattoo of the Oakland Raiders crest on his thigh. I've seen the pictures. It's on the internet. And I know that because the next night, Guardians TV went and caught up with that same man in those same seats wearing that same Oakland jersey and found out a little more on his background. And like you've been teasing, it wasn't the first time that he's had the chance to catch a home run ball.
All right, now here's the other question I got to ask you. You have caught home runs.
I have. I've caught 2 home runs in this stadium, actually both by Minnesota Twins. And the first one was the guy's first career home run. Wilson Astudillo. Yes. I caught that on the fly, and I traded it back for a Joe Mauer signed bat. And then I caught one from Jorge Polanco a couple years ago, and it was like a ricochet that hit me in the chest, and I got that.
We got to get you a glove.
This guy's made
audio courtesy of Guards TV.
Quite a career of this.
As that went on, and like you heard Andre say, we got to get him a glove. Nolan Jones was playing left field that night for the Guardians. He kind of heard it all because it didn't look like there was a ton of people in the stands. This was during we hadn't quite made the 15.5 game comeback at this point. But Nolan Jones standing out there, he heard him talking. Andre having some fun with Nolan Jones and this man on the TV broadcast.
Now I got to get Nolan Jones to give you a jersey so you stop wearing this one.
Please, Nolan, I'll take it. I'll wear it tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow. Right. If I get a jersey from him, I'll wear it tomorrow.
Right. Just take and take and take.
My gosh. How much free stuff do you need?
I don't know, Kim, but I know you can at least get one more free baseball.
You didn't catch Shane Langalier's home run last night. Okay. So we went to Shane today, and we got you a signed ball from him since you didn't get that one last night. We got to get you a glove so you can catch the next one from your guy, all right?
Yo, thank you so much. This is awesome. This made my day. This is super cool.
Once you're given a baseball, again, you should be out of the running for other baseballs.
That should be it.
Now, I would
that
just
should
like to
be
say,
it.
Anthony and myself went back and forth off the air about what to do, and as I watched this unfold, I went, you know what? We probably need to just say, once you get things in life, maybe it's time to share every once in a while, and ripping the ball out of a little girl's hand last night, not the route to go.
Well, you brought up before. It's like, well, like I'm holding a Major League Baseball in my hand right now. This thing's been sitting here for years. I don't know where it's from, who hit it, where it came from. I imagine it came from Progressive Field in some fashion, but that's the only thing I know, right? Maybe I take it for granted. But I can tell you guys, as a person who follows sports and seeing the stuff on the internet about the Zach Campbell guy, there is not a chance in hell as a grown man. I'm telling you. You could have a home run ball, and the only reason I would put my hands up is to defend myself. And if I caught the damn thing, I ain't keeping it. There's not a chance in hell. There's no chance on earth, and there's no reason any other grown man should. A grown lady, that's a difference. She's a lady. Children, it makes their whole world. Like you said, all you dreamed about when you were a kid going to an Indians game was getting a foul ball or getting a home 100%. Run ball. And then you saw Playboy, and then your voice changed, and you grew up, and that's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. It's not hard. You're a grown man. You have access to all these things in the world. I don't know why you need a baseball.
Now, here's my question. What if this poor girl who was moved to tears last night, both the bad tears and the good tears, and this was ended up turning around for her in a positive way. They're getting national attention. This is all over New York Post. It's been on national
news.
Really? Yeah, it's been on Fox News. It's been everywhere. So, what if she catches the bug?
And does what? And is a baseball fan?
What if now? Not just that. What if she wants to find some more balls, and she wants to learn the ways?
So what if she grows up and starts taking them from little children?
Starts going to games.
No.
Chasing home run balls.
These are home run balls. It's not a gateway drug, okay? Don't keep the home run ball, guys. Go to the team store. They got a whole thing of them. They're expensive, but there's a whole thing of them. Don't keep them. And don't bring a glove to the thing either. I remember that one time I said that on the national show, and I got a bunch of people going, well, I'm there to defend my family with the glove. I go, really? We're doing that? That's our excuse? Have a wonderful day. Go Guardians. Give the home run ball to the kids. Bye. Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.
This is an Odyssey